All right, my beautiful friends. We just pressed the Let's Go Live button, which means as soon as those tubes connect themselves, we can go ahead and get started. And it looks like things are slowly warming up here from our in motion on the road location. I think I see something connecting. Let's make sure that it has done that before we start rambling off over here. Sometimes it doesn't work. Is it working? There it goes. That's tremendous news. That means we can get started. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live. We've got some serious business to attend to today. I'm excited to jump into it with you. Let's get our bearings straight and see what the heck is cooking out there today. You can see we've got 3 segments in queue. The first one we're going to talk about is what happened with Senator Chuck Grassley. He came out with an interesting letter that went over to the feds, and inside this letter is an image of the location there in Butler. You can see it scrolling by there on your screen. We're going to zoom into it here in a little bit. But what this leads us to believe is that the Secret Service completely neglected to cover that AGR building, if this map is correct. And so what is happening is Grassley is asking the feds to confirm this. Is this little photograph that we got from local cops, is this accurate or not? Can you please confirm or deny this, Secret Service, DHS, and feds? And so we'll read through that letter. Not a long one, but we do have some other updates from various reports telling us that the school, one of these, is refuting the claims that he was bullied, that he was on the rifle team, that there was all a bunch of shenanigans happening there that may have caused him to be this way, right? Everybody's pointing fingers at everybody else. Secret Service, no, it's the local cops. Local cops say, what are you, nuts? It's not our job at all. Other people pointing to the school. Well, maybe they let him be bullied. Maybe they were training him on the rifle team and so on and so forth. So they're refuting all of that. Secret Service, meanwhile, has told Trump, nothing we can do about this, brother. You should stop your outdoor rallies. We're going, what? This is very curious because we remember in 2020, they did a lot to stop Trump's rallies in the wake of COVID. And they said it was, to save grandma back at the day. But now they've got a whole new strategy, which is just to say, don't go outside Trump or else you'll get shot in the head. So 2 different ways to stop outdoor rallies. One is, a pandemic that they really shoved down everybody's throat. And then now they have a new strategy, which is assassination. So to avoid that, Trump is going to be maybe moving his stuff indoors. We'll read the article. The father of Crooks, the shooter, has now come out and spoken, or a little bit. He has basically answered a quick question. Somebody approached him on camera. So we didn't get a lot out of the guy, but we do have a little bit of an update on Dad. And then CNN is being extra CNN lately. They have said that if you criticize the Secret Service, well, that's irresponsible. You can't say that the Secret Service didn't protect Trump, because they did. After he got shot, then he got protected. You go, oh, I guess that is technically true. It's like, he has a point there. After the Secret Service failed catastrophically and let their protectee get shot in the head, yeah, then they did jump on him, I guess, after Trump had already ducked and they took out the sniper, I guess. But is that like something to write home about? So no, it's not irresponsible here, Jim. We'll go through that clip from CNN. And so we'll see what's cooking over there in that first segment. Then we'll jump in to what happened there in Congress today, because Director Wray was testifying in front of the House Judiciary Committee. And I've got a bunch of good clips on this. So we'll spend some time going through it. We're going to highlight Thomas Massie and Victoria Spartz here today, because they got into some J6 questions. We've actually got 2 clips from Thomas Massie. One is him talking about J6. The other we'll follow up with is about the assassination and the shooter. But both of these are just great clips. And Christopher Wray, it was surprising, but he actually gave us some answers. We got some new details on the shooter, and we got some new details on J6. In other words, Massie got him to admit that that gallows thing was ridiculous and dumb. So that's all fun. We got Representative Dan Bishop was getting some good information out of him. Jim Jordan was also there today talking about the shooter's drone. So apparently they did recover a drone. It was in the shooter's car, and Christopher Wray gave us some details on this. Nadler, who's been nadling around Washington, D.C. for like 35 years, and we don't know really what's going on with his waddle, but something's going on down there. But anyways, he's been waddling around for a long time, and he said Trump caused this because of Trump's dangerous rhetoric, including his bloodbath comment, which was nothing to do about an actual bloodbath, but was talking about the economy and the auto industry. So we'll see what Nadler said. And then Matt Gaetz went into this, and we got Christopher Wray to say that there were no confidential human sources at all, no confidential connections to this shooter. And we'll parse through that with very, very with a fine tooth comb, because they always say, no, the FBI had no confidential human sources. No. Okay, well, how about the HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, or how about any other agency? Did they have? Well, no, I don't know. I can't speak to those agencies, but the FBI did not. Okay, thanks. So they just hide it and tuck it in other agencies. So we'll go through it. Actually, some good information in here, so that will be fun. And then guess who's back, my friends? Karine Jean-Pierre made it back. Joe Biden is back to the White House, and so now she can talk to the press. And the press made it a little bit awkward. We're going to go through this press briefing. I've got a couple different time codes pulled out for us, and including Doocey. Doocey went into it with her for about 4 minutes, started out asking her, "Are you okay, Karine? Do you feel betrayed like the rest of your party? Because you were just out here basically lying to us, saying he's not going anywhere. He's already made his decision. Stop asking me questions." Then it turns out he's not in the race anymore. So womp womp. We'll hear from Karine. And then, of course, my friends, we'll see what you have to say about all of this and more. It is a beautiful day. Very grateful that you're here and with us. If you want to join us for some extra content when we're done here, come check us out at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We have a members only community over there. We do live streams in the morning. We do after parties. We do streams on Saturday. We have a lot of fun. We have an amazing community. We got to meet a bunch of people at an event in Vegas. It was a ton of fun. We also have memberships on YouTube. So if you want to join us on YouTube, absolutely come join us there. We do everything except the after party, and we'd love to see you there either way. So thanks for supporting us. And today we are going to drop in. We'll have a short case of live stream privilege that we'll be using today. We have a promo that we'll throw into one of the segments coming up, but because this is a live stream, we will fast forward through that. So let's get to it, my friends. We've got some good stuff to jump into. Let's get queued up and hit it. And in fact, before we do this, yeah, we'll have to change it in the middle. All right, let's do it. Secret Service now implicated. That's according to Senator Chuck Grassley, who sent a very curious letter over to the director of the Department of Homeland Security. We know that Cheadle has left and resigned, running away from all the damage that she's caused, including the near assassination of the former president. But here is what Grassley sent, a letter over to the agency saying, there's something strange here with these photographs that I was able to cobble together from local law enforcement. And we'll look at them. But we've also got other updates on the shooter, the school refuting the claims, father speaking, and CNN being very CNN. And so let's zoom in on this actual letter that has come out from Chuck Grassley. And we have to share the PDF. This is a little bit different from our mobile studio. But here is what we have now. This is from Chuck Grassley, Senator. He writes, to the Honorable Alejandro Mayorkas, and look at this name, who is now in this place, Mr. Ronald Rowe. Oh, that's the new acting director, United States Secret Service. Guess who's not there? Kimberly Cheadle. Almost got the president killed. Now she's probably, I don't know, maybe she's hanging out with Nathan Wade. Maybe they're on a cruise together since they're both no longer in government. But here's what Secretary Mayorkas and acting director of the Secret Service, Rowe, got from Chuck Grassley, the senator, ranking member, budget committee over in the Senate. He said, all right, listen, DHS, Secret Service, I write to you again to request the Secret Service operational security plan and any related records for the J-13 attack on American democracy and the former president, held by President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. Now, my office has received records related to the apparent location of some law enforcement posts during the J-13 attack. to include Butler County and Beaver County Emergency Services Units, which is the ESU, which were in many instances trained with SWAT tactics, as we heard yesterday from the police colonel, with assignment at the AGR building. That's the building that we're all concerned about, where the shooter was on the roof. Now, Grassley says, the senator, my office has also obtained the below color-coded document indicating what appears to be some state law enforcement sectors for the Trump rally. So remember, we have a big distinction here between state law enforcement and Secret Service. And then we have questions about who was responsible for what. Secret Service pointing their fingers at the state saying you were responsible for that building. State, many of them saying, no, we weren't. And then we also heard that the state maybe did take some responsibility for the building. But if the state did take responsibility for the building, when did that happen? And why was the Secret Service, who plans for these whole events, not at least covering the building if it was being delegated to somebody else, ensuring the delegation was happening appropriately? So we're going to look at this, but they say this is the state law enforcement sectors for the Trump rally, and the document notes each sector is highlighted by, quote, the order of importance. Now, is this document accurate? Asks Senator Grassley. Did local law enforcement have the shared responsibility with Secret Service to cover the AGR building where the shooter was? So to better understand the full security posture of the event, the Secret Service must provide equivalent records. So we got this from local cops, and here is what we see. Now, this is where Trump was speaking, right in this location. So we'll put a marker right there. This is approximate, right? But the snipers were on, the counter snipers were on the roof here, where those red dots are. Shooter was over here in this location. You see the trees right about there. So we're missing any colors around this building. Nothing is there. So apparently, in order of importance, it went sector 1, which you would presume would be where a lot of the crowd is, all seated in here. Trump's stage is up in this location. So sector 2 is probably going to be pretty secure, right? Not really a public sector. Going to be pretty well cordoned off. The public will be in sector 1, so we got to keep close tabs on them. Then we got sector 3, which will be over here. Now, I don't know why they secured sector 3, but they neglected to secure the mirror side of the stage. So you might say to yourself, well, sector 3 has a direct line of sight to the Trump podium, maybe from this building where we draw this dot, or maybe sector 4, you could put somebody on that roof or in those buildings. I don't know how tall they are, but okay, got to secure those. Maybe it makes sense. At least they're marked and highlighted. Now, what's also curious is the rest of this is also not really protected at all. So there's also buildings in this section. We're going to highlight in red the areas that are just totally neglected that might have a direct line of sight. You'd think you kind of want 360 degrees around the perimeter of the protectee. But here, that whole area is not at all accounted for. Now, you'll notice that sector 5 goes out all the way over this direction, which is pretty strange. That's parking. Okay. So we do have a legend here. So the main stage in the audience, as we suspected, is sector 1. We have the barns and the motorcade. That's where the president will be in sector 2. The entrance to the event is in section 3. So people will come through this event and go through security. Section 4 are the ponds, Ponds. And the parking is going to be in section 5. Section 6 is going to be EMA, EMS, fire, police parking. And then sector 7, so all the support team will be back here behind the barn. And then the hangars, the dairy, and the barns are all going to be in sector 7. So they neglected all of this, which maybe, I don't know, residential perhaps. Looks like Sarah Lane. And these might be little homes with maybe some various houses there in this vicinity. But then this whole area where the shooter was, totally uncategorized. Nothing is even there, right? Just totally unaccounted for in this entire security plan. So if this is what Chuck Grassley got from local law enforcement, then what is the Secret Service doing, saying this is their responsibility? Because this is not accounted for them, right? Local law enforcement, hey, these are our duties. So this is not accounted for. So presumably Secret Service has it. Or over here, a bunch of these buildings probably have a pretty clear line of sight to the president. Same with this residential area. These definitely look like houses. And maybe these are just residential houses, so they're not tall enough to get a direct line of sight. But the point is, this is unaccounted for. And as we've seen, it's like 120, 150 yards golf chip into that from this location. So the Secret Service, who created this document? Did they create it? Did the local police create it? That building was not accounted for. Why? So Grassley says, now additional records I've obtained show that a Secret Service counter unmanned aerial system UAS operator was on the personnel list. A drone operator was actually on the list for the J-13 attack. And then Director Cheadle testified yesterday that, yeah, there are times during a security plan where the Secret Service does deploy an asset like a drone. Yet it's reported here that the gunman flew a video capable drone over the event site hours before Trump took the stage, which may have helped him plan the attack. So then we need to know, is the reporting accurate? Christopher Wray testified that, yeah, it was. And is the below document accurate? So Secret Service is being asked about this from Chuck Grassley. Here's what he has revealed. Here is the communications list from the presidential rally at the Butler Farm Show where Trump was almost assassinated. Here are the people who were assigned basic local communications information. Butler ESU is one person, name redacted, phone redacted. Beaver ESU, name redacted. Butler ESU, redacted. Then we have one Secret Service counter sniper, so local cops here. Secret Service counter sniper. We have a lead transportation. Don't know if that's with the Secret Service or what. We have a farm show site. We have an intelligence person. We have a technical security lead, a counter UAS written in there in pen, drone. And then we have field office supervisor and farm show supervisor. Names and contact information redacted. I'd also like to know what agencies they're with. So are these the secrets? This is feds and local. Just placeholders. Kind of like a menu when you're ordering something. How many pizzas are we going to need? Okay, we're going to need 2 sausages. What is she? Oh, she's a veggie person. Okay, get her veggies. So, whatever. And then you just order it all. And then they fill in the gaps with the actual people. We need an intelligence person. We need a counter sniper team. Okay, you're going to be that team. So prepared by, don't have a name on that. Position title, don't have a name on that. Signature, nope, don't have that either. So Grassley continues saying, on July 16th, I wrote to Homeland and the Secret Service requesting information on the catastrophic failures that resulted on the J-13 assassination attack on Trump. 1 person killed, 2 seriously wounded. On J-20th, I provided Homeland and Secret Service portions of emails, which we read here, relating to the post standards. We know that Jill had a bunch of them. Trump only had 3. And I requested to know, says Senator Chuck Grassley, the total number of post standards at the Jill Biden and the Trump events on J-13. Why did Jill Biden have a bunch of them? And why did Trump only have 3? Jill spoke to like 200, 300 people for 5 minutes. Trump had a rally of thousands. And also, Grassley wants to know the total number of federal personnel present at the Trump rally, saying recently, I've also obtained video footage of the aftermath of the shooting in which local law enforcement can be heard discussing drone availability to clear the water tower. Very suspicious water tower. Can you fly something over there to make sure there's not a shooter on there? Because a bunch of people said there were. The Secret Service must provide its operational security plan, Ronald, showing the locations and the roles of all federal personnel assigned to the J-13 event. So in other words, if this is the local assignment, what was the Secret Service assignment? Or was this the Secret Service assignment and the local assignment? And if so, who approved that? And why? So they continue telling us, so please give us this information immediately, no later than July 30th, Mayorkas and Rowe. Says, did the U.S. Secret Service, local or state law enforcement deploy any drones at the rally? If not, why not? Did the Secret Service receive requests from local or state law enforcement agencies to operate drones? Did you approve those requests? And if not, why not? Was there an unauthorized drone intrusion within the restricted airspace of the event? If so, when did that happen? Please provide all records about that. Were you even monitoring it? Was the counter drone operator aware of this intrusion? Because apparently you had him on the list that he was there. So did he know? Did the counter operator deploy countermeasures in response to this intrusion? If not, why not? If yes, let us see what he did. Now, who at the Secret Service was responsible for making the final decision to deploy UAS or counter UAS for the event? Because no one signed that form. Please provide all records between the U.S. Secret Service, local law enforcement, state law enforcement, sheriffs, federal law enforcement related to the use of drones and the counter use of drones on this event. And saying since January 2021, something else happened then. Has the U.S. Secret Service deployed drones or counter drones during campaign events at rallies? And if yes, please provide a detailed description of their use and how you use your drones. Please also provide all guidance and policies about training for your drones and counter drone operators. Now, was the water tower cleared in advance of the rally? Did you send your drone over there? Did you look at the water tower before? If not, why not? And did the water tower have any role in the events at the Trump rally? We want to know that. At the rally, please describe if there was any role. Thank you for your prompt attention to our request. If you have any questions, please contact our team. Shout out to Brian and Sylvia. You guys rock. Sincerely, Chuck Grassley, ranking member, committee on the budget. So nice letter from Chuck Grassley, and we'll see if some of those answers come out, but good questions. And I think we want to know if there was a drone used and were they clearing this? What did the drone capture? My goodness. Did they save that footage? Or did it magically disappear like the rest of the radio comms from that day? Well, we know that there is a lot more happening. The Secret Service has asked Trump to stop having rallies outdoor, saying that Trump should go inside or else he might be shot in the head again, which is interesting. We remember during COVID, they didn't want Trump to have rallies. They said, you have to social distance or everybody will die. Do you want to be responsible for killing grandmas all throughout America? You piece of... And they locked us down and did all the things so that they couldn't hang out. We couldn't hang out with our friends. People were dying alone in the hospitals. We'll never forget that. But as soon as it was a time to burn down the 3rd precinct in Minneapolis, then there was no problem. COVID was not even a big deal at all. All of them went out and did it. Kamala Harris was like, yeah, burn it down. Social justice. Still has a tweet about that up on her X account. But now they don't want Trump and his people outside again. So they're just going to, I guess, keep lodging bullets at his head. Just thunk, 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 until he gets the message. So here is what they're telling him. We're so incompetent, we can't cover the roofs of sloped buildings because our sloped brains can't process it. Says Secret Service officials encouraged Trump to stop going outside. In the aftermath of the shooting, agents from the Secret Service communicated their concerns, saying, hey, we're totally incompetent. Okay, look, I know we pretend like we know what we're doing. We have no idea what we're doing. So if you want to live, man, just go inside. Yeah, but you're this. I know. Just trust me, dude. You know, you have to take your bro's word for it. Like, really? Like, don't get the steak. Don't get it. All right, fine. I won't get it. So the people familiar spoke on condition of anonymity. Now, for upcoming events, Trump's team is scouting indoor venues like basketball stadiums, other large spaces. The campaign not planning any large outdoor events because the Secret Service is trying to get him killed. A Trump campaign spokesman declined to comment Spokesman for the Secret Service says, we don't comment on our protective methods. What protective methods? What? What are you talking about? Just tell us. Everybody knows you don't have any. Trump has held hundreds of outdoor rallies since launching his first presidential bid, often bragging about, sometimes falsely inflating, yeah, right, his large crowds. You want to talk about false inflation? Now, they have become something of a cult favorite among his passionate fans. Exactly, which is why they had to shoot him at one of them. With tailgate parties in parking lots, vendors lining up open areas. They're huge, gigantic parties of people who love this country. Now, they usually include large rosters of speakers, goes on for hours, and now you can't do them anymore. Indoor rallies more expensive, but one campaign official who spoke on condition of anonymity to describe the private plan said the indoor events are inherently safer because we can control, there's a finite number of doors, there are fewer line of sight issues, and so on. Which always seems weird to me because there's so many crevices in those big stadiums and stuff. Like, can they have everything covered? It feels like outdoor might be better, but you know, who knows? Now, obviously with an indoor venue, you have capacity. It doesn't pack the same punch. There's something about being at those outdoor rallies. And they say, yeah, well, it's complicated outdoors. There could be tens of thousands of people. Yeah. Most other former presidents rarely appear in public because no one likes them. And agents usually arrive well in advance. Look. It's not like this is a complicated thing, okay? They've stopped many other presidents from being shot in the head. They didn't cover a simple roof. The crowd was like, hey, Secret Service idiots, tapping him in the head. Hey, moron, you know, there's a shooter up there, idiots. You're like, duh. Well, let me call it in after he shoots him. So it's not complicated, but they just don't want to, I guess, be responsible for Trump. And so if he does a rally outside, guess what this means? They'll say, we told you so. Hey, well, sorry he got shot in the head. We told him not to go outside again, but he did it anyways. So that's their article over from the Washington Post and telling us to stop outdoor rallies. Now we're learning more about the shooter. Apparently the school says all this talk about him being bullied and on the rifle team and so on. Nonsense. None of it's true. This came over from our friends at the Epoch Times. And here is what they have told us, that in fact, he was not a member of the rifle team at all. And the school says he wasn't bullied. So what does that leave? I guess his encrypted apps with his random friends talking about baseball cards or whatever, with no social media profile, traveling to DC. All right. So the man who shot Trump was never a member of a local high school rifle team, and he wasn't bullied, says Bethel Park School District. They updated a statement and they published it on its website. And here's what they said. It says Bethel Park School District from Bethel Park can confirm that the alleged shooter of the J13th assassination attack on Trump is a graduate of the high school, graduated in 2022. The school district wishes to express its sincere wishes for a speedy and complete recovery for Mr. Trump, president, and those in attendance at the Saturday event who may have been physically harmed or emotionally impacted by these tragic events. It's like a car accident or something. Now, we offer special condolences to the family of Mr. Corey Comparator, who was killed. Our thoughts and prayers are with you at this difficult time. Now, our school district will be cooperate and fully cooperative with active law enforcement investigations and so on, and we'll do that moving forward. Now, there have been some things that need to be corrected. The school tells us correcting the record. Updated. Says it has been reported that the shooter was a member of the Bethel Park High School rifle team or tried out for it, but was dismissed due to poor performance or because the coach had character concerns. The assailant was never a member of the school's rifle team. We have no record of him trying out. The coach does not recall meeting him. However, it's possible the shooter informally attended a practice, took a shot, never returned. We don't have any record of that happening. Now, there's also a false claim that the shooter once threatened violence against the school because they're trying to make him like a regular standard shooter. Oh, he's just a weird kid. Nothing to look at here. Forget about it. Just it's normal, whatever. In 2019, there was an unfortunate incident involving threats made by a different student against specific school administrators. That incident was thoroughly investigated and quickly addressed, and the student involved received appropriate discipline. It had no connection whatsoever to the would-be assassin. So why are these stories all being seeded? What is this? And bullying. And they say there also is a painful misconception that one of our students was relentlessly bullied in school, which may have led to the assassination attempt of President Trump. There we go. Now, the school district maintains detailed records, including academic performance, attendance, disciplinary history, and health records. Now, according to our records, the shooter excelled academically. The shooter regularly attended school. He had no disciplinary incidents at all, including those related to bullying or threats. The assailant was known as a quiet, bright young man who generally got along with his teachers and classmates. Weird. Since graduating in 2022, the shooter, this is from bpsd.org from the school, the shooter earned an associate's degree in engineering science from a community college in Allegheny County and worked as a dietary aide at Bethel Park Skilled Nursing and Rehabilitation Center. It would be wildly irresponsible for us to speculate on his state of mind in the 2 years since we last saw the failed assassin. Wild. So where are all these weird stories coming from? He was bullied. That's why he did it. Weird, strange kid. No, good student, always attended. Attendance records were there, did well, probably straight A kid, you know. Graduated, got an associate's degree, went to community college, no problem at all. No threats of violence, no bullying. No rifle team involvement at all. So if he didn't have rifle team involvement, where did he learn to shoot? How did he know how to use a rangefinder? Even how to assemble all the components, right? He went and bought ammunition the day of, was probably there flying a drone around. Was this just a hobby of his, or was he hanging out with other people who were showing him how to do this? Don't know. Very interesting report from the school, Bethel Park School District. You see their official statement just recently updated, and we'll keep our eye on that one. Now, the father has also spoken, kind of. New York Post has this report for us saying that the father now speaks out for the first time, but kind of. He doesn't really speak out much. Father of the would-be assassin has revealed the family is, quote, just trying to take care of ourselves. He stepped out in public for the first time following the shooting. Now, Crooks, Matthew Brian Crooks, 53, made the remarks as he was spotted leaving a grocery store. That's all we got. Says, just trying to get on with our lives. Seeing that with Crush, I mean, is that Crush and Gatorade? That's just great. So just sugar water. Just shoving it in your gullets. All right. So made the remarks as he was spotted leaving a grocery store. Says, we want to just try to take care of ourselves right now. You can start with pouring that down the drain. Please just give us our space. As he loaded bags of poison into his car. We're going to release a statement when our legal counsel advises us to do so. Until then, we have no comment. All right. So that's what he said. Not much there. Yeah, I do have some empathy for him, right? Who knows what his... who knows what went down in that household or what he's going through, but he did lose a son. And, I don't have kids, but for any parent, I can't even imagine. No matter what happened, we have some empathy for that. So peace upon them. Hopefully they are cooperative. We get some answers about this. We also have CNN saying, don't you dare say it was irresponsible to say that the Secret Service didn't protect Trump after Trump was shot in the head. Jim Acosta, you know who he is. Here's this ridiculous clip from these two knuckleheads over on CNN. Says Acosta is very professional. Don't you scold them. They only got people killed and maimed.
And there's also reaction coming in from Donald Trump. Apparently, he said on Truth Social, the Biden-Harris administration did not properly protect me, and I was forced to take a bullet for democracy. It was my great honor to do so. I mean, that appears to be what the former president is saying. Perhaps he's not aware that the director has stepped down, but that's what he's saying right now on Truth Social. Let me go back to Jonathan Wackrow, who's still with us, I believe. Jonathan, when you hear the former president saying something like that, what's your reaction? I mean, obviously, the Secret Service is a professional operation. That, you know,
not really.
The fact to say something like they did not protect me, it just
They
sounds
didn't.
just wildly irresponsible.
How is it irresponsible? It's irresponsible if you say that they did protect him, because they didn't. I guess Jim Acosta just doesn't want to deal with bad news. No, that didn't happen. Yeah, it did, Jim. You're going to have to deal with that. No, it didn't happen. That's irresponsible to say that happened. Well, it did happen, though, moron. Very complicated for them to live in this bizarre reality they've crafted for themselves, but let's carry on.
Yeah, I mean, he's just capitalizing on the moment, and
what moment? Being shot in the head?
He's looking at this through the color of politics, not the reality of the situation.
That he was shot in the head. All right, shout out to Newsbusters for clipping that one. All right, so that's them. Now, they will continue on with that. They really don't like how Trump survived and then thrived politically after this ordeal, because courage is contagious, and the people saw him for what he is, which is Donald Trump. And they don't like the fact that they don't have that. So Secret Service implicated here. We'll see if we get some responses from Homeland and from the Secret Service agencies, and we'll cover it when we do. Thank you for subscribing, my friends, wherever it is you're watching this. Thanks for sharing our channel with a friend or family member. And we'll look forward to seeing you back here on the next one. All right, so let's get into the big hearing on the day, because this was some good stuff. Now, here is what took place today in Congress. FBI Director Wray testified in front of Congress. We're getting into assassination talk and, surprisingly, some good J6 talk. Some interesting questions came across from Representatives Thomas Massie and Victoria Spartz, asking Christopher Wray specifically about whether or not they use confidential human sources and whether a lot of the propaganda that's been regurgitated by Joe Biden and the Democrats is accurate or true. We know it's not, but it's nice to hear from Christopher Wray that he knows it's not. And so we're going to start today by jumping in with Thomas Massie. And here is how this exchange went when Massie got Christopher Wray to admit that those gallows where they were going to hang Mike Pence were stupid props. And they didn't even find out who made those. Probably friends of Wray Epps. Here is this exchange between Massie and Wray.
And now I want to talk about another possible assassination attempt. And I'll start by showing a video of President Biden. And this is from recently. This is in the last month, if we can play that.
Gallows erected to hang the Vice President, Mike Pence.
Idiot.
I think it's fair to say it's one of the darkest days in the history of America.
Okay, and he's referring to January 6th. Were there gallows erected to hang Mike Pence, as the president says here?
I'm not aware of any physical gallows. I can't remember whether, from a demonstration perspective, there may not have been some kind of replica or symbol of something like that.
Yeah.
That's my impression. Can we show, can you raise that up so you can see it? It looks like there was some kind of prop that was built. The construction doesn't look like it lends itself to actually hanging somebody. It's more of a prop, I think, as you suggested, that was erected on January 6th. But if the president were correct, that these gallows were erected to hang Mike Pence, that would be a very serious allegation, wouldn't it?
I would take it very seriously,
Yeah.
yes.
Has anybody been arrested, or do you have any leads in conjunction with the erection of this gallows? We had a picture here on the screen, if you can show it again. It was just up there. There's an individual here who's seen on near these gallows. Has he been arrested? Have you identified this person?
You know, I don't know that I could speak to this specific person or the gallows that are pictured on the image. You know, we have had, I think, 850 people who have pled guilty to federal crimes related to January 6th, and I think, you know, another 180, I think it is, convicted at trials.
Which may sound like a lot of numbers. That's like, what, 1,200 people that they've got convictions for. A bunch of other cases are still pending. They've charged almost, I think, trying to get over 3,000. There's a bunch pending that haven't been charged yet. I think they're going to come out in another tranche of them, but it sounds like a lot. In the context of law enforcement, It isn't. Okay, they've spent years trying to track all these people down. And so right now what he's doing is trying to, well, look at all these people that got arrested. So I can't possibly know about every person. Well, what about the gallows people? Like, do you know the gallows people? Do you know the pipe bomb people? Do you know any of these other little things? Nope, don't know, because there's so many.
Just I can't be
But the fact is there isn't that many relative. Like if you look at the total number of crimes in Washington, D.C. on an annual basis, 1,100, 1,200 crimes is nothing. Right? You bring a Super Bowl into your state or something like that, you're going to have another 1,000 crimes all the time. Happens all the time. A holiday weekend, there's clearly, on a July 4th weekend, there's easily a surge of 1,200 additional crimes. It's not a big deal. The fact that they have dedicated 3 years and millions of dollars to this is like insane. Right? Just your local East Valley Task Force in Arizona that does DUI patrol over a holiday weekend will get hundreds of DUIs in one weekend, and the local prosecutors' offices can handle it. But the FBI and the DOJ and all of the federal apparatus are going to cry and need millions of dollars and have multiple hearings for like 1,200 crimes. It's pathetic. And you can tell the prosecutors I said that.
sure.
And some of them merely for going into the Capitol. But here, the president suggests that individual intended to hang Vice President Pence, which seems like kind of a wild claim myself, given the construction of those gallows. But if we are to take him seriously, or even if we aren't, let me just finish by saying this. If you have no leads, or you're not sure if anybody who erected those gallows was arrested or is being investigated, were there any confidential human sources involved from the FBI or any other agency in the erection of that prop, those gallows?
I'm not aware of anything like that.
All right. Thank you. I yield back.
All right. Not aware of anything like that. Very curious there, Christopher Wray. So we will see more from him, obviously. Victoria Spartz was also diving in on this, and she laced into him saying more about these confidential human sources. We've covered a lot of this here. We know how many CHSs there were, at least in the Proud Boys case. 50 at least, according to the defense. Maybe not from the FBI, but from Homeland and other agencies. They were all there. Victoria Spartz is going to dig into Christopher Wray on this topic, and we're going to hear what she says right after this quick message from our friends. And now, Victoria Spartz versus Christopher Wray on confidential human sources who were there on January 6th and who are regularly used by the FBI to instigate and exacerbate this criminal activity, setting up a Whitmer hoax kidnapping fake plot in Michigan, doing the same thing on J6, having a bunch of CHSs all over infesting the venue, and now creating criminal prosecutions against Trump on classified documents cases, having the FBI being used to ransack his residence there. The list goes on and on. Now we have questions about this assassination attempt. But how far does it go? Here is Spartz talking to Christopher Wray.
Congress on the floor, give you a chance for lunch, and then resume after that. But we'll keep pushing through for the next half hour if we can. Gentlelady from Indiana is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Director Wray. I think you have a little bit better tone in conversation, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, he's been better
answer
today.
Some questions, so I appreciate it. Hopefully, you'll answer also on 2 letters that I sent you over a year ago. One related to Durham report, and the other one related to Russian infiltrated SBU that collaborated with FBI. So hopefully, we'll get this answered.
All right, so that's her. Let me see if I can find a better clip, because she is very quiet. I can tell, I can hear it. Let me see if I can find something better from her, because I can't boost the audio any higher. Let me see if this is louder. Here's some from Victoria Spartz. This is courtesy of Carly Bonney, who clipped this one.
Did you have confidential events with so many people there? So did you have confidential human sources? I think you never answered that question on January 6th in the Capitol. Did you have some?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
Confidential human sources. Did you have them on January 6th in the Capitol?
Well, again, I'm never going to be getting into when and where we have or have not used confidential human sources. But
Okay, but he just told Massie that he did not know of any CHSs who erected that podium the little gallows ordeal. So he will talk about some characteristics of CHSs.
Are you willing to stand the record that you had no confidential human sources that went into Capitol on January 6th?
As I've said consistently, I'm not going to get into where we have or have not used confidential human sources. I can tell
You did say that you did not use them to erect the fake gallows.
you that if you are asking if the violence at the Capitol on January 6th was part of some
That's not what she's asking, Chris.
operation orchestrated by FBI sources or agents, the answer is no.
No, I
And it's
didn't
a
ask you
disservice.
that.
Pounding the table, okay? Pounding the table because he's mad.
I
to our
asked, so
people.
did you investigate any confidential human sources? Did you do any investigation and looking at that? So you're not answering if you had any or not. So if you had potentially, did you do anything you needed to make sure to investigate that none of your sources did anything wrong? If they did wrong, they were prosecuted the same way, like you're trying to prosecute a lot of people that really, even in Supreme Court ruled recently that some unconstitutional charges.
Let me just add that there have now been, I think, 180 individuals who've gone to trial, in addition to the 850 who've pled guilty.
So
Right,
what?
but I think the problem
in your
is
rigged
the
DC
charges,
courts, who
a lot of
cares?
People would feel
May I
guilty,
finish?
but let me say just quickly, because I only have 10 seconds, really. So I hope you will take seriously what you're doing. You know, related to the border security is also a crisis. You know, your vice president was a lead-in on that. She initiated meetings with you to lead, like weekly or monthly meeting where she actually get briefings from you as a leading border czar that had that function. Have you had that? Has she initiated any meetings on a regular basis with you?
Again,
Gentlelady's time has expired. The gentleman can respond.
right. On this issue of confidential human sources, number one, I will say there is a DOJ OIG review that's underway that I think addresses some of these kinds of topics, I believe, but I won't speak for the Inspector General. Second, as to this suggestion, which I've heard all too many times, that somehow January 6th was orchestrated by FBI agents or
We're not asking about that word orchestrated. We don't think that you orchestrated the whole thing. Like you didn't invite everybody to be there, right? That implies a little bit too much involvement from the FBI. We don't think you orchestrated it. We think that you enabled it, that you allowed it to happen. Maybe you instigated it in certain little things. Instigation is different than orchestration. That's the framing. So stop putting words into everybody's mouth, Chris. We're saying that if your agents wanted to stop this, maybe they wouldn't have dressed up like Trumpers and been a part of it, right? To energize the crowd and to maybe shake some stuff with them. They have not answered that. Instead, they just pound the table. It's when someone overreacts. Okay, we all do it. So somebody, no, like, wow, what's your problem? I just asked you if you like saw the thing. I just thought you freak out over it. Like I didn't even ask about that. What is your problem? What are you hiding, Chris?
or sources. I will note that in addition to my prior comments, that there have now been 850-ish individuals who've pled guilty, another 180 who've gone to trial. They've all had access to defense counsel, discovery, all the things the Constitution and the rules provide them.
Yeah, and the DC judges and the DC juries. Thanks, Chris.
It's been in front of something like 15 different judges, I think dozens
All
of
DC.
juries, and not one has given credence to this notion. And in fact,
They don't allow it in, you liar.
I don't think any of them have even really seriously tried to raise it.
Yes, they have, and they've all been denied. We covered it here on the Proud Boys trial. It makes my blood boil. We read through it. We had the defense attorneys screaming at the judge, Your Honor, the government is even admitting that the government admitted in the Proud Boys trial, don't quote me on this, but I think 8 total official CHSs that were with the FBI. There were 5 Proud Boys, 8 CHSs or FBI connected people, 5 Proud Boys. Does that feel right to you? The defense wanted to talk about 50 other HSI people and people from other agencies. The judge says they're not related to your case because the state didn't need them as witnesses. The state only needs the FBI agents, and because they're not using them, they're not relevant. And it's not relevant to your defense that there's some sort, is it an entrapment defense or a conspiracy defense? Are you making that allegation? It's hard to prove. So then they just come and talk in circles. Christopher Wray, we know how many there were, at least in one incident. And the Proud Boys was a big one, right? This was the seditious conspiracy, even though it was nothing of the sort. So Wray is doing the usual. Good on Victoria Spartz and Thomas Massie for digging into him on that. So J6 was front and center, and we got some actually interesting responses there, right? Christopher Wray is not saying no, that they didn't have CHSs there. We know they had a ton of them. And also telling Massie that no, it was a stupid little prop, a replica of Gallows. They didn't arrest anybody for it. And Biden's been using it as fake propaganda. So now we talk about the assassination attempt. Thomas Massie, in his other portion of his questioning, was able to dig in on this, get specific answers. And also we want to pause and pay a brief tribute to Thomas Massie's wife, Rhonda. May she rest in peace. Thomas Massie lost somebody very close to him. I listened to his interview with Tucker, and he explained what his wife and him have built, and it's really a loss. And I can't believe he's already back in Congress fighting for this good stuff. So shout out to Thomas Massie, and peace and prayers his way. But here is what he said dealing with Wray.
Gentleman yields back. It is good to have Mr. Massie back with us today. Some of us had a chance to go to Kentucky over the last few weeks and visit with Thomas and his family. And
amazing they did that.
All kinds of wonderful stories about Rhonda. Amazing, amazing lady, gentle spirit, and we're glad to have Mr. Massie back with us. And the next 5 minutes belong to you, Congressman.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thanks, Jim. What a classy dude. Nice thing to say and do.
Director Wray, how many counter snipers were present at the rally that day, and which of the counter snipers took the shot that took out the would-be assassin?
I don't have the number of counter snipers. I know it was the Secret Service counter sniper who took the shot that eliminated the shooter. And we've conducted a number of interviews, including of him.
So was it one of the two that we see in the videos on top of the roof, or was it a different location that was shot?
I'm afraid I don't have that at my fingertips here.
Okay. You mentioned that the would-be assassin bought a 5-foot ladder. You have credit card evidence of that. But it looks like on the scene there was a larger ladder that he might have used. Do you know which ladder he used to get to the roof? And do you have possession of that 5-foot ladder and the other ladder? And do you know how the taller ladder got to the scene?
So this whole business about the ladder is something we're drilling into more. We do have possession of the 5-foot ladder that he purchased close in time to his attempted assassination. That we've traced the purchase of that ladder from a receipt, a bloodied receipt that he had on him at the time his body was recovered on the roof. We do not yet know for sure how exactly he got up on the roof. We're looking at, various forensic pieces to try to kind of piece that together. So more to come on that.
Do you know where the 5-foot ladder was found or retrieved? Was it near the roof, or was it still in his vehicle?
Neither. I don't have it in front of me, but I know that it was not. I know that it was not on scene, and I know that it was not in his vehicle.
Where was it?
We can circle back to you. And
Okay.
get to that.
Where was it then?
Is there any evidence at all that he may have been in contact with somebody else before this occurred that may have had any prior knowledge or may have helped him plan this event?
Good questions.
Well, needless to say, that is a question that we're intensely focused on, because that would obviously be incredibly meaningful.
Yes.
So far,
That's why he asked it.
Underline, so far, we have not found any evidence of any accomplices or co-conspirators, foreign or domestic.
And you're using geolocation data to see if his cell phone was near another cell phone, I presume?
Right, we're doing lots of different kinds of cellular analysis, geolocation stuff, looking at his accounts. He, from everything we've seen, which is consistent with what we've learned in interviews, a lot of people describe him as a loner. That does kind of fit with what we're seeing in his devices. His list of contacts, for example, is very short, compared to what you would normally see from most people. So it doesn't appear to be a whole lot of interaction between him, face-to-face or digital with a lot of people.
Okay, thank you.
That doesn't mean there's not any, and that's why we're drilling into. We're trying to talk to anybody who's had any engagement with him whatsoever, digital, in person, classmates, coworkers,
Right.
et cetera.
Appreciate that.
All right, so that's Massie doing great work with Christopher Wray. Jim Jordan, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, also had his 5 minutes. Let's listen to see what Jim had to say.
Director, let me go back to where Mr. Bishop was. Tell me about the drone. You act like you wanted to fill us in on that. Fill us in.
Okay, in fact, let's go and hear from Bishop. Bishop went first, and so he's picking up for where Bishop was. So Bishop is where we will start. And here is Dan Bishop.
Let me ask this question. Why doesn't the FBI disclose to the American people all of the investigative detail and evidence that you are gathering as it is gathered?
Well, we have tried to be transparent with both Congress and the American people as we're going along in the investigation, frankly, unusually so for an ongoing investigation, given the sheer nature of it. We have provided a lot of information. I expect to continue to provide information. I expect to be able to provide some additional information here today in response to your questions and your colleagues. But part of the issue is that, as like in any investigation, as we proceed, facts evolve. Our understanding of what somebody said turns out to have more context that we didn't have before. We have additional leads out there. So part of our goal is not just to respect the ongoing investigation process, but also to make sure that we don't prematurely provide information that then 2 days later turns out to be different than what we told people, because that's very much, kind of a natural part of any investigation.
So, did Crooks fire 8 shots?
We have recovered 8 cartridges on the roof.
That's what Johnson said yesterday.
Why was Crooks allowed to get off 8 shots?
Well, that, I think, is something we're still digging into. Again, maybe this is a good place for me to make clear the different investigations that are going on. So, because certainly I understand
and given that I've only got 3 minutes left,
Okay.
and I know other members, I'm really interested because I appreciate your invitation. You said you're prepared to disclose things as questions are asked. So I don't want to waste time, I just want to get to the questions that might, and as many members as can, ask questions that you'll answer. I actually think I'd be glad for you to go on soliloquy, frankly, and tell us what you know. I think the American people want to know. Why was President Trump not kept off the stage?
Great question.
We don't know the answer to that,
Yeah.
but I want to be clear, and this is important because I think it goes to questions that I can and cannot answer. Our investigation, the FBI's mandate, is focused on the shooter and all things related to his attack. Now, obviously, I understand very much the intense interest and focus on the Secret Service's performance, actions, decision-making,
Not
et
my
cetera.
jurisdiction.
There are 2 separate after-action reviews, the DHS Inspector General and the outside independent panel that's been convened that are focused on that. Now, our
Everybody
investigation
understands
will
that. Everybody
obviously
understands that,
overlap
Director
with
Wray.
that.
Here's the
Yeah.
problem. We're out 13 days, and you say we've been disclosing. We had the the colonel from the Pennsylvania State Police and from
Yesterday,
Homeland
we covered
yesterday.
it.
He was quite candid.
Yeah.
He disclosed to us that Butler Emergency Services Unit personnel were posted into the windows on the 2nd floor of the AGR building.
Yep.
That they left there to go pursue the person that they spotted, Crooks. That they texted a photo of Crooks to the PSP representative in the command center. That information was relayed to the United States Secret Service. They asked that it be texted to someone else. That was many minutes before President Trump took the stand. What we don't know is why were they not keeping him off the stand? And to the extent, I know we always hear when there's a criminal investigation, you got to wait for that to develop. But do you have any reason do you have any other target of your criminal investigation other than Crooks, who's dead?
We are investigating the shooter both to determine his motive and his preparations and activities before the shooting, but also to make sure whether or not there are any co-conspirators, accomplices.
At this point, have you developed any evidence to so suggest that there are any accomplices or cooperators or assisters?
Not at this time, but again,
Okay.
the investigation's ongoing.
So here's the thing. While we wait, maybe for months, and I hate to say this, I'm not trying to take a pot shot, but the country went for years with the understanding that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation as offered by respected former intel officials.
Liars.
And the whole time the FBI had the laptop and then let that happen in public until finally offering testimony in a case.
Politically
to the degree
corrupt.
We wait to hear as a country and as a Congress what has happened in this event, because the FBI is conducting an investigation, it provides quarter for the U.S. Secret Service not perhaps to reckon with the problems that are obvious to everyone. So
interesting jurisdictional clarification there from Christopher Wray. We're not looking into the Secret Service. We're looking into the shooter. But one theory you'd imagine in any criminal investigation would be that there was an inside man. There could have been someone else who enabled the shooting to occur. Somebody else opened a door. We've all seen the TV shows. They call someone, got your wife and kid in the back of a van. Ah! Turn off the security system. He's like, I don't want to. We'll kill him. All right. Ah, he's crying. Ah. System down. All the bad guys come in the building. So are they even asking that question? Is Christopher Wray even considering that?
Let's get a couple in while I've got 13 more seconds. One more question, perhaps. Senator Grassley says that the records of the day show that there was a counter unmanned aerial surveillance operator on site. Was there? And why did that person not prevent crooks from being able to use a drone?
So again, questions about the Secret Service's performance are better directed to those other reviews.
Why are you not looking into it? Because they think there was just a magical incompetence fairy. That's all. Nobody in the Secret Service did anything criminally negligent. No one. So let them deal with their performance. Okay. It's not our business. Yes, it is. The theory is that someone was criminally negligent, intentionally negligent. Just saying, oops, we're incompetent. Oops, we're incompetent. Oops, we're incompetent. Or delay. Just delay. I didn't see it. I didn't see it. Let me check with my superior. What are you doing? He's on his phone playing Sudoku. No. We have questions about the criminal culpability of the Secret Service, Wray. It's your job to investigate them. This is what I'm saying when they just point finger. No. Well, I don't know if they did anything wrong. Talk to them. Secret Service will say, yeah, we screwed it up, but nobody did anything criminal. Secret Service is not going to investigate themselves and refer someone internally for criminal charges. It's a big incestuous party, and he's explaining how it works right now in front of us. It's disgusting.
I can tell you when it comes to drones is that Crooks himself had a drone, and I'm prepared to answer questions here today about the shooter and his use of the drone, for example.
Yeah, and nothing to do about why the Secret Service was sitting there with their thumb in their derriere trying to figure out what was going on or allowing him to fly a drone all over the place. So here's Jim Jordan also picking this up, digging back into the question of the drone.
So we have recovered a drone that the shooter appears to have used. It's being exploited and analyzed by the FBI lab. The drone was recovered in his vehicle. So at the time of the shooting, the drone was in his vehicle with the controller. In addition, our investigation has uncovered.
Do you know what time of day he flew it, and if he flew it on the day of the shot?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So in addition, it appears that around 3:50 p.m., 4 o'clock in that window on the day of the shooting, that the shooter was flying the drone around the area for about 11 minutes. I want to be clear, but when I say the area, not over the stage and that part of the area itself, but I would say about 200 yards, give or take, away from that. We think, but we do not know. So again, this is one of these things that's qualified because of our ongoing review, that he was live streaming, viewing the footage from that, again, about 11 minutes in around the 3:50, 4 o'clock p.m. range.
2 hours before, he's flying a drone in the vicinity of the route.
About 200 yards away.
Scoping the whole place out.
That's important information. What about the bombs that we've heard about in the shooter's car?
So again, the FBI lab is exploiting those explosive devices. Yep. We've recovered 3 devices, 2 in his vehicle and one back in his residence.
Are these what you would call, your experts would call sophisticated operations, or this, I mean, I don't know. That's what I've been told by people who have some understanding of this area.
Yeah, I think it's, we've seen more sophisticated and less. I would say these are relatively, again, keyword relatively crude devices themselves, but they did have the ability to be detonated remotely. And so to that point, in addition to the two devices that we recovered out of his vehicle, there were receivers for those two explosive devices with the devices. And then on the shooter himself, when he was killed by law enforcement, he had a transmitter with him. Now, I do want to add one important point here, is at the moment, it looks to us, again, ongoing review, and I can't say that too many times. At a moment, it looks like because of the on-off position on the receivers, that if he had tried to detonate those devices from the roof, it would not have worked. But that doesn't mean the explosives weren't dangerous.
And I'm sure we're going to get into all these subjects a little bit later as well. Tell us what you can about the encrypted platforms we've heard about.
So one of the things that we're drilling into hard with the shooter in an effort to try to learn more about his state of mind, his motive, his ideology, his context, everything else, is to look at all of his devices, any social media accounts he had, et cetera. And one of the things we've learned in finally getting into his phone, which was also a significant technical challenge from an encryption perspective, but in addition, once we got on the phone, it turned out he was using some encrypted messaging application.
And again, the same question relative to the bombs. Was this pretty sophisticated, or is this is the kind of the norm you see with folks like
auto-delete
similar situation? How would you describe
on this subject, I would say this has unfortunately now become very commonplace, and it's a real challenge for not just the FBI, but state and local law enforcement all over the state.
Tell me exactly the scope of, does the scope of your investigation include what I call that critical 5 minutes from when the 6:09, when this is based, I think, on information you've given to Congress, 6:09 when the shooter's identified on the roof, and 6:14 when President Trump is ultimately escorted off, and all that happens, the shots that take place in between there. Do you have access to the communications that were going on at the time in that critical 5 minutes?
So our investigation, when you say scope, our investigation includes that time frame, although focused again on the shooter himself and his
not the Secret Service.
He's obviously involved in that time frame.
Correct, and as part of that, as part of our focus, our investigation of the shooter and the attack,
why are they?
Of course, we are interviewing law enforcement from the scene, because those are some of the most
but we're not going to look at Secret Service
witnesses, and we're obviously getting access to their materials and that kind of thing. And the Secret
You're
Service
getting
has been
access
fully
to
cooperative.
You have access to the communications that exist there.
That exact question, I don't, as I sit here at the moment, I don't know the exact answer to that question, but I know that Secret Service has been
Well, that's what he was asking, Chris. Why were you talking about a bunch of other stuff that he wasn't asking about?
cooperative with us.
The Congress would like access to those
No,
communications.
they don't exist.
Well, I mean, not just that 5 minutes, although I think that's the critical time frame. There's lots of communications we'd love to have access as well.
Yeah, we'd love to see those too. So some of them surely exist, like the text messages, the pictures that were taken, all that surely exists. But the radio comms, Secret Service Director Cheadle, before she resigned like a coward, ran away, she admitted that there was no recordings. There's no radio comms that have been saved. They deleted all of that, just like they deleted the J6 text messages. They don't want anybody to know what they've done. So we also saw, this was a curious one from the director, was asked about some Google searches, and apparently he was searching for Oswald Kennedy and how far the distance was when that shot took place.
Now, in terms of what we've been able to find so far, a lot of the usual repositories of information have not yielded anything notable in terms of motive or like ideology. Having said that, it does appear fairly clear that he was interested in public figures, kind of more broadly, and I think this is important, that starting somewhere around July 6th or so, he became very focused on former President Trump and this rally. And so one of the things that I can share here today that has not been shared yet is that we've just in the last couple of days found that from our review, to your point about devices, analysis of a laptop that the investigation ties to the shooter reveals that on July 6th, he did a Google search for, quote, how far away was Oswald from Kennedy?
Wow.
And so that's a search that obviously is significant in terms of his state of mind. That is the same day that it appears that he registered for the Butler rally.
Wow. Okay, so guess he's like a little assassin wannabe. Another interesting clip there. So Byron Donalds is giving us a summary on this. He says, just now, here's what his summary sounds like. He says, look, we just got notice from FBI Director Wray that the Trump shooter visited the rally site first time a week before the shooting, then the morning of the shooting, and then, of course, the afternoon of the shooting. Says on July 6th, the shooter both registered for the rally and he Googled how far Oswald was from Kennedy. Director Wray also revealed that the shooter flew a drone over the area about 3:50 p.m. They found 3 explosive devices. Remote detonators were not turned on. No accomplices named at this time. 8 bullet casings were found on the roof. Also says that Director Wray has revealed that the shooter purchased a ladder. The ladder was not found at the scene. It's unclear how the shooter got on the roof. And I thought that there was some commentary about maybe he just climbed up on that AC unit and then there were brackets on the wall. There was maybe a drainage pipe or something going up or down the roof, the wall to the roof that he could have climbed up upon. But an interesting exchange there. And then we also have another one from Nadler. Nadler's blaming the Republicans for this whole thing, saying that Trump caused this with his own comments. Let's listen to what the Democrats are talking about today.
This assassination attempt, as horrific as it is, should surprise no one.
Why?
And you would think a political party that almost lost their presidential candidate through an act of political violence would have something to say about the way the leaders keep talking about the next election. Donald Trump has warned there will be a, quote, bloodbath if he loses.
Fake.
Republican Ohio State Senator George Lang said just last week at a rally for J.D. Vance that he is, quote, afraid that civil war might be necessary if Republicans lose the November election. President of the right-wing think tank and Project 2025 leader, the Heritage Foundation, Kevin Roberts, said on Stephen Bannon's podcast, quote, we are in the process of the second American Revolution, which will remain bloodless if the left allows it to be, close quote. Republican former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin said in August.
All right, so he's, I guess, blaming the Republicans on this. Let's see, does Christopher Wray say anything? All right, no. So enough out of Nadler on that. And shout out to Marissa Henson for clipping that one for us. Appreciate that. We also had this one from Benny Johnson. He clipped this one. Matt Gaetz lacing into Christopher Wray. Some talk about Biden dementia, what Chris knew and when he knew it. Here is this exchange clip from Benny Johnson.
Was the shooter on the FBI's radar in any way prior to the assassination attempt?
We did not have any information about the shooter. He was not in our holdings before the shooting.
No communication in any chat rooms, no CIs or confidential human sources have any interaction with?
No, we've run a thorough search for the subject through all of our holdings, and he was not in them anywhere.
Were there any FBI agents or informants present at the Trump rally in Butler?
Not to my knowledge.
And Mr. Jordan was talking to you about Iran. Were law enforcement resources diverted from the protection of President Trump to John Bolton as a consequence of concern that Mr. Bolton might have been the target of Iranian malign efforts?
That's really a Secret Service decision. I don't know the answer to that. That's really something they would know better. What I can tell you is that there are a number of individuals. You mentioned one who we've brought a case, a specific criminal case for the Iranians targeting for assassination. But how the
are you going to get that answer to us? Whether or not resources were diverted from Trump to Bolton? Is that just going to be part of your review?
I think that's going to be part of the reviews by the inspector general.
The inspector general for DHS, right?
Of DHS
Right,
and the outside panel.
And I think that's an important point because the Inspector General for DHS has really fallen out of favor with the administration because he's been pointing out all the problems on the border with Mayorkas and Biden, and we're always kind of worried that they're about to fire him, which would be a really bad idea now that this role that you've identified is so critical. Be a bad idea to fire the IG for DHS during the pendency of this, right, Mr. Director?
I don't think that would be a good idea.
I'm with you on that. So I want to zoom out a little bit. How often do you brief President Biden?
You mean on this
No, just
specific
generally.
case?
Never.
In your role as FBI director.
I mean, I don't know that I could give you a number.
Is it like weekly, monthly, daily?
It's not
Quarterly?
It's not at a regular cadence. There have been times when there have been months at a time when I haven't, and then there have been times when several days apart I have. It's always with other people.
The Vice President, is she typically there?
Often has been.
Okay, so when did you notice his decline?
In my interactions, in my role, all my interactions with the current president have been completely professional.
Right, but I mean the cognitive decline. I'm not saying he treated you unprofessionally, just maybe not picking things up as quickly as he used to.
Matt Gaetz is...
Again, I don't meet with him very often, but what you're describing is not something that I've observed during my interactions with him.
I mean, we've had it observed so often that the ranking member and Mr. Schiff on this committee have said that he could no longer continue as a candidate. And so, since you're the FBI director, I was just sort of wondering, like, who's running the country? Like if something, yeah. So if something bad happened,
We are.
You'd have to
The
go
intelligence
brief
agencies?
President Biden about it right now. God forbid.
Me and the CIA?
On any number of occasions, I have briefed the president, and as I said, those briefings have all been uneventful and unremarkable.
Yeah.
Well, I can imagine them being uneventful. But in the work where the vice president's also present, like you say, there's like more than half the time there's these briefings, she's there too?
I don't know if I'd said more than half the time. Certainly, there have been times where she's been present. There have been other times where she hasn't.
I take you at your word when you say this is the most complicated threat environment you've ever observed over a long career in law enforcement. And I'm just kind of wondering, with this assassination attempt, with the invasion at our border, with all the Hamas that have been let in that you've talked about and briefed about, like, is Biden up to it? And if he's not up to it, and you're a guy who's been regularly briefing him, like, who's been in on this conspiracy to hide the real Joe Biden from all of us for years? It never occurred to you that this guy wasn't up to it in all these briefings you did?
As I said, my briefings with the president have all been completely fine.
Were they between 10 a.m. and
He's
4
asked
p.m.?
questions. There hasn't been anything of note in the area that you're talking about.
Yeah, did you ever have to brief him before 10 a.m. or after 4 p.m.? We hear those are as good hours.
Answer.
I've certainly times that I have briefed have included outside those hours.
Okay.
Right. Okay. I just, I think the American people want to know how we got to this point with someone who's so diminished his own party has basically put him out to pasture. And since you had close proximity and the vice president had close proximity, I'm just kind of wondering if you were being straight with all of us about how things were going with him.
Yeah,
I guess we'll have to figure that out.
You can count on me to be straight with you, sir.
Yeah, we sure can. I'm sure about that, Chris. Thanks for that. So amazing. So Matt Gaetz digging in on that. Now, I actually think that Christopher Wray probably has some plausible deniability on this. Remember, they told us that his last cabinet meeting was like in October of last year. Remember that? It's almost a full year, almost in October again. So, by the way, at those cabinet meetings, it was very scripted. They told us everybody just came in with their little note cards. Did you do your homework, fill out your form? Okay, don't deviate from the form. Okay, the president has dementia, so just keep it tight. And yeah, Christopher Wray's like, no, I never saw any dementia. He read his cue card. That was it. Because Joe Biden's not really in charge. So, I don't think Christopher Wray is being, well, he is being dishonest. Yeah, obviously, but he's doing it cleverly. So, all right, that's Matt Gaetz. And of course, the FBI is going to be very sneaky about this. We saw how they're going to do it. They're going to not investigate the Secret Service, the very people who we suspect are complicit in what has happened here. A number of incompetent mistakes, one after another, for stuff that clearly should have been caught by multiple different people leads us to believe that there was intentionality behind it. What degree of intentionality? We don't know. But if the FBI is not looking into it, the Secret Service is not going to look into themselves. And so we're relying on the OIG from Homeland to give us a clear review on this. We'll see. We'll be here continuing to cover it, my friends. Thank you so much for subscribing and joining us as we do. We'd love it if you invited someone that you know or love to come over and check our channel out. That would mean the world to us, so that we can see them and you back here on the next one. We got one final segment on the day, my friends. And for this one, let's talk about it. Karine makes her awkward return to the press briefing room. She has to come back and explain to everybody why she had just told us Joe Biden's not going anywhere. Whether we like it or not, America, he's the best president you've ever had. Then she says, yeah, actually, he's leaving now. I love Kamala because Kamala's better. And the Democrats and their insanity continues on. So we're going to jump into this press briefing, because there were a bunch of concerned journos in the room, and Doocey comes up and asks Karine how she's even doing. We'll come back to Doocey, but let's start out right out of the gate. She finishes her opening statement. AP comes out with the question. Here's what it sounds like.
Zeke?
Thanks, Karine. The president believes that it's best for the country that he not be in the Oval Office for another 4 years. How can you assure the American people that he's up to be in the office for the next 6 months?
Well, first I would say is that and I've heard these suggestions out there. This is not an answer to you. This is an answer to the suggestions that I've had. I've heard about him resigning from office. We believe, and any suggestion of that note is ridiculous. It is not what we believe.
So he's sticking around.
I just laid out what the president has been able to do in almost 4 years, and it's been successful. He's been able to do more, again, than any president has been able to do in 2 terms. He's been able to do that more in 1 term. And he wants to finish the job that he started and delivering more historic results for the American people. And look, he didn't step down from campaigning or from running because he didn't believe he can serve in a 2nd term. That is not why. And what I would say, as I just finished my opening, I would say tune in.
Then why?
Tune into what he has to say tonight, and he will lay that out for you all and the American people.
So he's speaking
as
soon
to
enough.
why he made that decision.
So you're saying he believes that he's capable of serving another 4 years, but he just doesn't believe that he can win another 4 years?
I will let the president speak for himself.
And so today, the president believes that he is capable, fully capable of serving in the office that he currently has now and for the next 4.5 years if he wanted to.
Absolutely. And let me just quote from what he said on Sunday in his letter. He said, "It is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and to focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term." And what the decision that he made on Sunday was about putting country first, was about his party, and was
you guys
about the
shoved
American
him
people.
out the window.
Again, I would refer you to what he's going to say tonight. He will lay that out, speak for himself, and you will hear directly from the from the president. The American people will insert you as well.
Different topic.
Sure.
All right, so that is from Zeke. Then we jump over to this woman.
Form of violence or any destruction of property. That is something we've been consistent on. Go ahead, Nancy.
Thanks, Karine. You read the president's statement where he said that it's in the country's best interest for him to step aside. Why is it in the country's best interest for him to step aside?
Dementia.
Does it have to do with his health or
it does not have to do, they have nothing to do with his health. Again, the president's going to speak to this directly to the American people tonight in prime time. I know many of you all will be watching it. There are specials going on tonight. He will, I promise you, he will speak to this directly to all of you tonight. But in his letter, he talked about the country, he talked about the party, he talked about the moment that we're in right now. It is not about his health. I can say no, that's not the reason, but hear him out tonight.
And the president denied for weeks, and you denied for weeks, that he was even thinking of stepping aside. What changed from all those days that he had that message to Sunday?
So look, he's going to address this as well this evening. Let him speak for himself. But here's what I will say. And I think we gave a little bit of a TikTok to all of you. He met with a small group of advisors on Saturday evening, and with his family, and was thinking through how to move forward. Sunday afternoon, he made that decision. It was in a very short period of time, as you can imagine. And then at 1:45, he got on the phone with some of his assistants to the president, some advisors. He let them know, and then minutes later, a letter went out. So it was in a very short period
Minutes
of time
later,
that-
the letter went out, so it was already written. It's like, just sign this, Joe, or we'll break your other leg. It's like, no, I don't want to. The guy with the drill's like, he's like, ah. That's it. Actually, he didn't even sign it. It was a digital signature, remember?
The president was able to think about this and make a decision. But I would say again, the president's going to address the American people. You will hear directly from him tonight.
All right, so that was
Can you talk a
her.
little more about how he's
Now, we also had this other exchange at about 22 minutes. They ask about Karine and her credibility. Do you feel like you've kind of wrecked your credibility because you told us very specifically that he was going to be around for a while? And here's this question.
Spoken a couple of times, and I'm not going to get into their private discussions. Okay.
Vice President or her staff going to be more closely involved in the day-to-day operations of the administration?
I wrote that time wrong.
Given that she's now the
I kind of got this question moments ago. Nothing more to add where the
All right, nothing more to add. Let's go. It's Doocey time. Let's see what Doocey had to say about this, because she spends a couple minutes with him, and he's very concerned about her well-being, given the fact that she has to come and eat crow for having lied to America for years about Joe Biden's capabilities. Clearly, he can't win. He's not vigorous. He can't manage a campaign. Why should he still be in the White House?
Protection.
How are you doing with all of this, Karine?
You care about how I feel?
Are you going to stick around for a potential President Harris administration?
Oh my goodness. Let me just get through the day. Can I just get through today?
I do have some other questions.
No, I think that's good. I think we're good. I think we're good.
Karine.
How are you doing? Are you
I'm
good?
doing okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
I haven't seen you in a while.
Well, you guys haven't had a press briefing since President Biden dropped out of the race.
The
So,
president hasn't been here. He just got here yesterday. And now I'm here taking your questions.
thank you.
I've taken about 3 or 4 at this point from you alone.
Well, it would seem that people in this White House knew that President Biden was slipping, and it was hidden from the American people. So who ordered White House officials to cover up a declining president?
I know that that is a narrative that you love and
Well,
to...
when he
No,
goes
no, no, no,
in
wait,
10 days,
hold on.
he did a press conference
Hold
at NATO.
Hold
I'm
on.
in it. There's all these things that I
Hold
need to
on.
finish. And then 10 days later, I'm dropping out.
Okay, wait, okay, you're asking me like multiple questions here. Let me...
Very
wait,
complicated
wait.
for her.
First of all, there's been no cover-up. Want to be very clear about that. I know that's the narrative that you all want. Wait, no, you can't...
Well,
Okay.
I've been with President Biden for 5
Are
years.
you going to let me answer the question?
Would you at least admit that the debate was not just a bad night?
Wait, can I answer the question?
Yes.
All right. Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. To your first question, it is not a cover-up. I know that is the narrative that you all want. It is not. I'm going to say this again, and you're going to hear directly from the president. I hope you listen tonight. I think it's going to be incredibly powerful and important. The Oval Office, presidents, as you know, when they make speeches from the Oval Office, it's because there are important moments that they want to directly make sure that the American people hear from them.
Is he
It's
resigning?
obviously going to be done in prime time.
We don't really
would
care.
listen
If
to the
he's
president.
quitting and running away like
And
a
then
coward,
what
I
I will
don't really
say
care.
is that it is not easy making a decision that the president made on Sunday. It is just not. It is not. And as you all reported, it is historic. It is unusual. This
It's
is
pathetic.
not the norm.
Yeah, it's cowardly.
And-
it is not the norm, because most other presidents have dignity and integrity and they don't run away like cowards. You should be responsible for the mess you make, right? You always leave the place better than you found it. Joe Biden says he still has work to do. Still a lot of problems. Inflation's coming down. Border's going to get better. Going to do stuff in Gaza, whatever. And then he's just cutting and running away so that the Democrats can run away from his policies. He just dukes all over our whole country and then lets us clean up the mess. Disgusting.
Making a decision like that for someone who has been in public service for 54 years, U.S. Senator for 36.
Gosh.
President to Vice President to
Finally
President Obama for
leaving.
8, and now a first term as president himself. These are not easy decisions to make. They're just not. And so the fact that he was able to make that decision in a selfless way,
you guys threw him out.
One of the decisions he made, President Biden wants Vice President Harris to be the standard bearer of the party now. Does she still want to get rid of ICE?
you have seen what this administration has been able to do in the past 3.5 years, and they did that with the vice president as a partner in that. And Republicans got in the way. The president went around Republicans and was able to get thousands of personnel at the border. And now we are seeing a 50% drop at the border. And that's because of what this president has done.
As a partner, though, she's been in charge of root causes of migration for years. She has never spoken to the Border Patrol Chief, Jason Owens, or the Border Patrol Chief before him, Raul Ortiz. What should that tell us about her leadership style?
She was supposed to be doing root causes, dealing with diplomacy.
And
Diplomacy. Wait, diplomacy. That's what her job was supposed to be. Diplomatic. That's the job. And I understand that you're asking these questions, but we should also look at congressional Republicans who got in the way.
Oh, gosh.
Literally got in the way of everything that this president was trying to do to deal with the border. They got in the way. They would say one thing and then they would change their mind. They would say, we want Border Patrol.
You guys could have easily solved this.
You know, we want a deal on some of, because aside.
Any names that came forward that surprised you of Democratic officials in the last week who stabbed President Biden in the back?
I don't have anything else to say. Go ahead, April.
All right, so that's Karine. We don't have any other brain cells to sacrifice listening to that. So we know Karine makes her awkward return to the White House, doesn't answer anything as per usual. Joe Biden's going to come and answer all of our questions. In fact, no, he's not. The speech is going to be dumb and ridiculous. The fact that he's using an Oval Office address to come out here and whine about his heroic decision, it's going to be masturbatory, okay? And we don't indulge in that here. Biden to deliver Oval Office address on his decision not to seek re-election. CNN already has excerpts from this, so probably save yourself the pain. Says he's going to address the nation on Wednesday to explain his shocking decision to drop out. They threw him out. He's no longer the presumptive nominee, and he intends to use his primetime remarks to reveal to the American people how he arrived at his decision. I don't care. Dude's a coward, which he said in a letter on Sunday he thought was in the best interest of his country. They've got excerpts of his upcoming remarks, which he'll read with his marbles and peanut butter in his mouth. Says Biden will say his decision was to pass the torch to a younger generation and the best way to unite our nation. He's going to say, the defense of democracy is more important than any title. I draw strength and find joy in working for the American people. But this sacred task of perfecting our union is not about me. It's about you, your families, your futures. It's about we, the people. That's our line. Biden is expected to say. The great thing about America is here. Kings and dictators do not rule, except these little dictators like Joe prosecute their political opponents. What a dumb speech this is going to be. Oval Office addresses have historically been serious moments for presidents to speak to the American people, like we're going to war. Not, I'm a loser and pathetic and have no integrity and I'm acting like a coward. It's the second time in just 10 days that he's using the office, I guess. He also talked about the assassination attempt, which nobody watched. Biden, who returned to the White House on Tuesday, is drafting his highly anticipated address. I think people are thinking I think people are anticipating it because they think he's going to leave. But doesn't sound like it. They began work on the speech. Harris, who's already got the nomination. New CNN poll says they love this. Democrats are happy about it. So it's going to be a dumb hagiography speech from Joe Biden about why he's doing the right thing. And so we're skipping it. But Karine, awkward return to the White House. Her weak, spineless boss is going to be speaking to America, and we are not going to be covering it. So, my friends, that is it for us on the day. Director Wray crushes some January 6 lies and actually gives us some good information on the shooter. Karine is just as terrible as she was before, even worse now that her boss is dropping out. And the Secret Service implicated. Question is, did they approve that security plan? And if they did, why didn't they incorporate that very important building into their protocols? But now, my friends, it's time to hear from you and to see what you have to say about it. I know a lot of people are streaming the Biden's thing. I think Crowder, I just saw, was streaming it. A bunch of people are streaming it. So I mean, it's good. Maybe we'll regret it. Maybe he'll come out and he'll be like, guess what? And I'll be like, oh, you should have been streaming it. But I don't think so. A bunch of people are streaming it. And I think, I think we'll just skip it. So let's see what you say about it, my friends. Let's talk about this and see who's here and joining us. Maybe if he starts speaking, we'll jump into it. But we've got about, 26 minutes until he jumps in. We'll see what he says. Hey, what's going on? So we'll hang out. We'll see if he starts speaking. If he's late, maybe we'll chip into it. This one from Eskill. What's up, Eskill? Just became a YouTube member. We had a great members only morning stream. So YouTube members, make sure you grab that. Same to you, Tammy Johnson. We do member streams in the morning, and we are talking about a lot of other stuff that we can't get to here. So come and join us. B-Man is in the house. Says they wanted President Trump to leave on a stretcher. We know what my president told them. Fight, fight, fight. That's right, he did. One old guy's opinion says, all stories are, quote, canned CIA programming by the CIA, the FBI, DHS, various deep state, big money oligarchs narratives that worked in the past. Look at the scams. It's harder for them to make up plausible and believable cover-ups these days. Well, I think the internet has really done them a disservice in that space. They used to be able to just, there were 3 networks, whatever Walter Cronkite told them. Everybody said, oh, okay. Now they have a hard time controlling the narrative, which is why they're so upset that Trump is demolishing that, right? The fact that Elon bought X, I think, is shattering this. People are rebuilding informational supply chains. So we're learning how to reprogram and rebuild trust. It doesn't have to have all the fancy graphics and CNN in order for you to believe it. We just have to look at some documents and use our logical brains, and we can parse through it. Thanks, one old guys. But I'm with you on that. I actually do think, I feel like we noticed this. I don't have any good examples off the top of my head, but I do feel like there is predictive programming. They show us certain things about AI and robotics and pandemics and things. And then when stuff like that happens, people act a certain way because they've seen other people act that way. And so it's programming you, right? Just like you stand the same direction when you hop into an elevator as everybody else. We adopt these cultural norms. And so when we watch these emergency movies and these, you think about all of the law enforcement films that are out there, or all the money that goes into true crime novels, and the cops always find the bad guy and they always get to the bottom of it. And, CSI, it's like, we found the hair on this thing. And so I think it encourages people to believe that the state is all powerful, all seeing. They're all, you're always going to have to supplicate yourself to them. It's to condition you. Oh, well, everybody else acts that way. I watch it on TV all the time, so that's how I should act. Give up all of our civil liberties. Yeah. Hey, what's up? Grip Van Wrinkled says, thanks, Bobby G, for all your fabulous, dedicated hard work providing for our thirsty ears and the fabulous chat. No doubt about it. Says, worry today about your health. Worry today about your health. Love from Denmark. I look a little tired today. I am a little tired. It's been a lot. We've been streaming a lot. I'm not in my normal bed and routine. I do feel a little tired today. I was up early, didn't get good sleep last night. And we got some good stuff cooking, but thanks for checking in. I'm doing okay. We had this one from Saintly Beginning. Says, think we need to separate the Secret Service agents protecting Trump's body and those in charge of staffing, risk, and resource deployment. A child could do better. Well, yeah, I mean, a child couldn't do worse than not guarding a roof. I think a child could have also done that. Although I don't know if a child could have shot him in the head from the other side. So you need the sniper to take him out. But definitely, a child could have also gotten Trump shot or done that job. So, yeah. Hey, Sheila P. What's up, Sheila? Thanks for bringing in 10 new membos. Amazing of you to do that. Welcome aboard. Joshua Knows It All. Chuck is in the house. Kat Saunders came in. We got Simon H. Freya in the house. Jenny Lynn. Debbie DeSantis in the house. Carolyn Tom, Sophia, and Dreamwreck AC. Gifted membos, courtesy of Sheila P. Thank you, Sheila, for bringing them in. One old guy's opinions says, the reason for the really bad narratives is because the deep state Hollywood writers currently used are talentless unimaginative DEI dolts. Big connection between Hollywood and the deep state. Ask Epstein. Yeah, I believe it. I really do believe it. And I almost can feel it. It feels like certain things are seeded in the movies and then they happen in real life. And it's wild times. Steph D says, hey, this membership is the best money I spend every month. That is music to my ears, Steph D. We tried to deliver for our membos. We do like a whole separate live stream 6 days a week right now. Don't know that we'll be able to do that forever. So it's been amazing. It's election season. It's like a feeding frenzy out there. But we're building an amazing community. And thanks for being here for 5 months, Steph D. Joining us. The morning streams are the best. Hey, Saintly Beginning says Chuck Grassley is 90 years old. I thought he was 70. So did I. I did not realize he was 90. That's amazing. And his investigations are good. Now he talks like at 0.02 speed, but that brain is still sharp as a tack, baby. One old guy's opinion says Wray is a big poop head. That's, yeah. One old guy says Ray's a box of rocks. That one I can say. This one from one old guy says, do all 51 signatories of Hunter Biden's letter get jobs in the administrations of Kamala Harris? Wonder if they concocted this lawfare and this plan to take out Trump. I don't know. Certainly they're willing to lie and make up fake claims of Russian influence. Do you realize how insane that is? 51 intelligence agents are seeding a story saying the Russians interfered to attack a political candidate to interfere with our elections. If that is true, that should be an act of war, no? And it wasn't true, but the CIA said it was because they're insane and they wanted to go to war with Russia anyway. So it was a twofer. We'll just blame Russia and we'll take out Trump simultaneously and protect Joe. Sheila says, so if you break the code, ongoing investigation means I don't want to answer that question. Yeah, it's usually that. It's ongoing investigation, sources and methods. It falls into those categories. There's usually moral outrage. We saw a lot of that today from Christopher Wray. Moral outrage. I don't think you're implying that we obstructed or that we orchestrated. No one said that. Chris, why are you making up these straw men to knock down? No one said that. Weird freak. Here's one from one old guy's opinion. Says, ask Wray what happens if evidence leads to one or more Secret Service is criminally liable for the offing attempt. He's not even looking into them. And if one or more of your people help them. No, he's just going to say, I'm going to let the Secret Service investigate it. They'll do their own due diligence. They'll investigate themselves. Not my prerogative. This one from Box Lane Productions says, trying to figure out what the secret best effort group, the Facebook O, and the Sheriff's Commitment Team were doing is like navigating a call center. The secret best effort group. Oh, that's just great. The Secret Service, they all got E's for efforts when they became Secret Service members. And they got stickers for badges. Here you go. Nice job. Good job. You did great. Secret best effort group. Not serving anybody, just trying their best. Yeah. That's great. Thanks, Box Lane. This one from Sheila P says, was his use of the word repository a clue that this is another assassination cover-up? Just like the depository. Wasn't there a depository? Was that in the Kennedy assassination? Thanks, Sheila, for that. Box Lane says, little shifty shift knew instantly how far away Oswald was from Kennedy. He was trying to hide it in his body language because he was up there, you think, along with the shooter. One old guy's opinion says Matt made Wray squirm and sweat like a woman. It's somebody in church who shouldn't really be in church, who's nervous about her history. One old guy says Biden, with the help of the 51 intelligence agents, was able to dismantle more than anyone else in decades and nearly cause a war. Box Lane Productions is here. Says, yeah, the school book, JFK was the repository. Was it a repository or a depository? Textbook depository? I don't know. Box Lane says, listening to the press secretary and others, this is just straight psychological warfare. Everything is intentionally backwards, opposites, and hypocrisy. They just lie and tell people move on to the next thing that they have to lie about. Hey, what's up, Charles Gent? Says public service is supposed to be honorable. That title has little to do with this administration. 54 years of public service, and we're all supposed to pretend that this is something exceptional? Facepalm. Yeah, it's like what George Washington did was honorable. I'm going to serve 2 terms and leave and go back and live my life, right? We don't want to be little dictators for life. 40 plus years, 54 years grifting off the public dime and trading power and lecturing people about how he's smart and can solve all these problems. He's been in government for 54 years. We're going to give him more time on this, like another 6 months to continue the wreckage. No. What's up, Stan Cottrell? Says, how do you spell hagiography? 2, what does it mean? Hagio, then put the G, hagiography, so Graphy, hagiography, and it means like a glowing review, like fawning media. Everybody's just going hysterical, overly exaggerative. What you see them doing for Joe right now is it's a hagiography of him. Kind of like a biography, but a hagiography. It's like just over the top. He's so heroic. He's such an American hero. He did something so selfless and sacrificial. It's like, shut up. You just said he was demented and a lunatic and doesn't remember people's names like 2 days ago until he left. So that's what it means. And I don't know if I got the spelling right, but double check me on that one. Hey, what's up? Nitty Linny says, actually, the president is expected to say, my fellow Americans, Truman International, the foothills of Himalayas, and Xi Jinping. Whatever. You know what I mean? The thing. Come on, man. You know the thing. Thank you for that, Nitty Linny. That's the whole speech right there. Just nailed it. Don't have to watch it. Tony Hay Munkets says, it'd be nice if you would have live streamed Trump's rally. Now, maybe you couldn't do it for some reason. Says, I love you, but it would have been fun to watch with my friends. Love you, brother. Love the chat. God bless. So Tony wasn't reading it that way. But yeah, we could always live stream a Trump rally. They'll be fun. We'll probably do that as the election comes a little closer to it. But he does a lot of rallies, so we'd want to do something, I don't know, where there's a big announcement or something's going on, like a special occasion. He does a lot of rallies. But I love you back, Tony Hey Munkets. I'm just teasing. I know you didn't read that in that voice. I just read it that way. Because, it's kind of like would have been nice kind of a thing. It's just kind of funny. Anyways, thanks for being here, Tony. We'll get one in, no doubt. It's election season, baby. Hey, Maria Kathleen says, my friend who lays tiles for a living calls his knee pads his Kamala sandals. That's a great one. Yeah. She probably went through a bunch of those during her tenure in California. What's up, Box Lane? Shout out to your friend. Box Lane says, Trump wished Biden well today. That's along with Epstein, Maxwell, RGB, McNo-Name. It's a term they use to say you're out, which he flips on them. Oh, I see. So Trump, I wish him well. I wish him well. Like, okay, bye. And that means that's like the beginning of the end. It's kind of like from The Godfather, right? Yeah. Hey, this one from Richard A. What's up, Richard Anderson? Became a YouTube member. Grab that members only morning stream, baby. We recorded one this morning. We'll have another one ready to go tomorrow. Jack says, Rachel Crooks was a 2016 Trump accuser. Is that right? Rachel Crooks. I'm sure there's many people with the last name Crooks. I think that's probably a very common name. So I'm sure there's no relation, but I don't know that name. Hey, Teeny BB, what's up? 12 months as a member, 1 year. Happy anniversary. Aloha, Rob and fellow watchers. Appreciate y'all. Aloha back, Teeny BB. Thanks for sticking with us for a full year. It's been a heck of a year. And it's only getting spicier. Jasher is here on YouTube, says, the same FBI that raided Mar-a-Lago under a National Archives dispute is now investigating the Secret Service. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, the FBI, so sensitive that they'll break 234 years of historical precedent, raid Trump's house, Biden's political opponent, for documents that he has ownership and possession over, where he has got presidential immunity, and Jack Smith is an illegal prosecutor. FBI they'll play ball with that. Jack Smith's illegal. Stole $24 million from the DOJ. Think the FBI is looking into that? No. Tony Hay Munkett says, aside someone is terrible and can't do their job, they are the swamp. From Tony Hay Munkets. Thank you, Tony Hay. What's up, Richard Anderson, a YouTube member? Did you become a YouTube member twice? I think maybe you upgraded your membership or something. Thank you for that, Richard. And Charles Gent says, you know, if Kamala picks Pete and they win, God forbid, their administration will truly be terrible. Yeah, I know where you're going with that, Charles. And what's up? Home Skillet in the house became a new member. Welcome aboard, Home Skillet. Very grateful to have you as our newest of members. I also want to say what's up to our friends on Rumble. Friends on Rumble, I totally missed the chats that you sent in yesterday, and I feel terrible about it. So let me make sure that we say what's up to our friends on Rumble who sent in some very nice donos yesterday. And is this going to work here? Let me see if this works. Not really working all that great. But anyways, we had some donos that came in. One came in from M. Thola Vine. Says, this was from yesterday. Says, all witnesses need to go public. All witnesses need to go public, saying, as soon as humanly possible, since average folks generally have no idea how to assemble multi-layered dead man switches, they need to go public. M. Mole the Vine says, much love from an old nobody in Eastern Tennessee. Man, you're very much somebody to us. MT Hole Levine in the house. Thanks for sending that one. DJ616 says, why was the assistant FBI director in the rally behind President Trump? I don't think that was her. I think that they actually identified that woman officially, and it wasn't her. Salty Sarge says, Rob, it looks like crooks snuck in under their noses when they weren't looking, and after he got the go signal. And where is the bike? Just asking questions. Seek you find Q says, Mayorkas Ray Garland and the Deputy Secret Service Director need to be subpoenaed and compelled to testify. While Garland is on the Hill, the House should hold him in inherent contempt and lock his booty up. And Salty Sarge said, the 12-to-1 slope on the roof that Crooks was on is actually ADA compliant. It's something that works with the American with Disabilities Act. We also had Loose the Dog says, it sounds like the FBI or the CIA planted 5 shells after the first 3 shots. 5 shells after the first 3 shots. And Loose the Dog says, sounds like the FBI or the CIA. Yep, got that one. And so, amazing stuff, my friends, from our friends on Rumble. And sorry that I missed you over there yesterday. My sincerest apologies for missing those. We also have our friends on Locals, and more membos have come in from Sheila P. Amazing. Thank you, Sheila. Brought in Jason W. Mercenary Grip. Nana 1776 is coming in. Scabbies is here. Starlet S. Jennifer Condi. Chaz G. Florida Mom. Frazzle Says. And Be Cool in the house. Courtesy of our friends on YouTube and Sheila P. in particular. Thank you, Sheila, for doing that. MJ Powell brought in some new membos as well. Man, we love our new membos. Thank you, MJ Powell, for bringing in Ungoliant, Sparky, TPP, If Josh Can't Fix It, and Fizzbin Goldstein, all gifted membos, courtesy of MJ Powell in the house. And so, all right, let's see what's going on over on Locals. And then President Biden will be speaking fairly soon. And so we'll see what he has to say about all of this. Let's see what's cooking on Locals. Our friends over there are joining us. And we have some donos. And let's see what is cooking right now on Locals. Boom, here it is. From Glocky. Says, this is funny. He says, Harris donations may be part of an FBI or a part of an FEC complaint. Tim Pool is reporting on that one. From, in a minute, what's going on over here? It's not what I wanted. This is... This is the one we want. Okay, perfect. So Glocky was sharing this. So Kamala might be having some FEC problems, apparently. Thanks, Glocky. Says this one, that the Secret Service says, I'm going to direct you to the FBI. Then the FBI says, I'm going to direct you to the Secret Service. This old guy says Nadler is almost as addled as Joe, but he has staff who keeps him supplied with things to read. He's still capable of pulling that off, even if he no longer can think logically on his own. NY says, sad to say this, but there seem to be local police to be on that roof. I saw a leaked body cam today that's circulating. If the police were just, quote, responding to the shooter's dead body, why did the snipers bring all their gear onto the roof after he was dead? I think they left because of the heat. Knox is here, a defense attorney in Texas, says, happy Wednesday, all. Has the Secret Service never watched those spy movies where a guy dressed like the janitor kills the target? I guess not. It's like, they should watch some more films. This happens all the time. Former says, why don't they show a current photo of the shooter? I don't know if they have one. Don't know. Glocky says, breaking news, the shooter's social media has been found, confirmed to be a rabid Biden supporter. So check that out. That's from Kyle Becker. Londo says, people who plead guilty or not guilty, they are intimidated. How many millions have you spent per person? A lot. And Londo, yeah, you're right. A lot of people take guilty pleas who are not guilty at all, but they don't want to go to prison forever. And the government throws out a trial tax, which makes it very difficult to not abide. Flagpole guy says bikers and vets will protect our president. No need for the modern day Secret Service. Bonnie says, just looked it up. As many as 120,000 people showed up at the J6 rally per Newsweek. Yeah, the numbers were insane. They knew that, and they didn't secure it intentionally so that they could ensnare Trump in an operation to impeach him and throw him out without him causing a ruckus on the way out. It was an op. Hey, Eddie Block says, Norm Pattis. Wow. Okay. So that's great. So thank you for that update, Eddie Block. I appreciate that. Says by the way, Judge Kelly ordered the DOJ to repay me $7,500 for travel expenses. They still haven't paid. It's been 15 months. Corrupt DOJ. Thanks for that, Eddie Block. Eddie Block's over on YouTube. He is a J6. He testified, certainly, and he's going through his own case. So thanks for that, Eddie Block. Lady Ice says, here are my questions that I've yet to see anyone ask. Which officers discharged their weapons that day from all agencies? How did they say in their respective reports? What did they say in their respective reports filed? How many rounds fired? Where'd they go? Where were all the casings recovered? How many suspicious persons or threats did they identify that day? Were they all fully investigated and neutralized? Was there any evidence of a collaboration between them? Were all other bullets fired recovered? Which bullets caused which injuries? Have you done forensics? Have they gotten prints and gunpowder residue? Where was the car with the explosives parked? Why did officers have to use a car to break in the gate? There are more, but these questions are good. Londo says, there are no shortage of incompetence fairies in the Biden administrations. Boopsy says, Rob, could you please have Christopher Wray on your show sometime for an interview? Yeah, that's a great idea, Boopsy. Let me see if I can get him on. I'll just show up at the FBI. Hey, is Christopher Wray here available for an interview? They'll say, no, he's not. You're going to jail. Thanks for being here. Just never come back. Probably throw me in the gulags. Thanks, Boopsy. Keep the chat open, please. Yeah, we'd have a lot of super chats that day, wouldn't we? Lady Ice says, oh, and also 10. How many government federal agents were there that day, specifically from which agency, and what were they doing? Glocky says, Obama has no choice with these numbers, and she's hemorrhaging Latino support. Obama is going to order Kamala replaced at the convention. Flagpole guy says, so let me phrase this lie by using the so to start a sentence. Comrade Ray. Londo says, does Joe know he's resigned from the campaign now? Did anyone remind him? Eddie says, we can't let him resign. Kamala doesn't deserve to be president. Londo says, I could have made that shot. Well, we're glad that you didn't, of course. Many American youths could. I think a lot of people could. But it was a miracle. I think that he was going to. Okay, that shooter wasn't incompetent. He just was an intervention took place by the act of God. Boopsy says, I got an unusual weather alert on my phone yesterday about Idaho power and a possible storm. Weird that they're doing these power outages. Zone Girl says, go to about that video and watch that. Boopsy says, I like the background behind you. Nothing special, but you look good. Thank you, Boopsy. Lady Ice says, I'm betting there was some form of MK Ultra going on with Patsy. I mean, the other guy. And so great comments over on Locals. Thank you to our Locals friends for sending those in. Let's see if Joe is about to come out, because the time is just turning right now. And we're wondering if he is coming out.
That was so interesting.
And right now we've got
Johnson was a Democrat.
Some reporting from Fox News, live now on Fox. Biden is about to speak any minute. And so we'll just jump in a little bit on it. Hey, what's up? MJ Powell sent in this one. Some new membos coming in. What's up, MJ Powell? Stephen M is here. Says Nadler is a great villain name. Yeah, Nadler, like the Hamburglar. The lure is like a robber, burglar. Nadler, burglarizing your nads. Gross. Hey, Democrats, though, that's what they do. Angry Bellsprout said, did the shooter have his bike or a car there, or were they both there? Yeah, good questions. Definitely had a car there. Bike, we don't know if that was his or not, but time will tell. So we're waiting for the president to come out. Let me check another feed. The White House, let's see if they've started. The White House is saying, we will begin shortly. All right. So we'll see if they come in here any minute. But as we wait, we also had some other Locals comments in the House. Let's read some of these. We had a couple comments we'll just read here. The Veil. Hey, The Veil just got some new gear from the merch store. It says, Rob, look at this handsome shirt. I just got it today. Beautiful shirt from our merch store. Thanks for sending that one in and for flagging that and supporting us on the merch store. We also had some other comments from Locals. NY says, I've seen other security experts talk about outside venues being secure. Says a 20-year-old with very little planning was able to get past this. Got to focus on that. Says, is the world supposed to stop because the Secret Service or the police are hot? Here's Joe.
My fellow Americans, I'm speaking to you tonight from behind the Resolute desk in the Oval Office. In this sacred space, I'm surrounded by portraits of extraordinary American presidents. Thomas Jefferson wrote the immortal words that guide this nation. George Washington, who showed us presidents are not kings. Abraham Lincoln, who implored us to reject malice. Franklin Roosevelt, who inspired us to reject fear. I revere this office, but I love my country more. It's been the honor of my life to serve as your president. But in the defense of democracy, which is at stake, I think it's more important than any title. I draw strength and I find joy in working for the American people. But this sacred task of perfecting our union is not about me. It's about you, your families, your futures. It's about we, the people. We can never forget that. And I never have. I've made it clear that I believe America is at an inflection point. One of those rare moments in history when the decisions we make now will determine our fate of our nation and the world for decades to come. America's going to have to choose between moving forward or backward, between hope and hate, between unity and division. We have to decide, do we still believe in
prosecutions
honesty,
and not
decency,
open borders
respect,
are closed,
freedom, justice,
endless
and
wars
democracy?
are not.
In this moment, we can see those we disagree with not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. Can we do that? Does character in public life still matter?
I don't know.
I believe I know the answer to these questions because I know you, the American people. And I know this. We are a great nation because we are good people. When you elected me to this office, I promised to always level with you, to tell you the truth. And the truth, the sacred cause of this country, is larger than any one of us.
They're using their big teleprompter, which is why he's not looking at the camera.
cherish it so much.
Normal teleprompter,
Cause
just put the
American
lens in front of the
democracy
camera.
Must unite to protect it. You know, in
It's the
recent
big
weeks,
one
it's
up there.
become
That's why he's
clear
looking
to
like
me
this.
that I need to unite my party in this critical endeavor. I believe my record as president, my leadership in the world, my vision for America's future, all merited a second term. But nothing can come in the way of saving our democracy. That includes personal ambition. So I've decided the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. That's the best way to unite our
We
nation.
know. Why are you using the Oval Office to tell us this? You already released the letter.
There's a time and a place for long years of experience in public life. There's also a time and a place for new voices, fresh voices, yes, younger voices. And that time and place is now. Over the next 6 months, I'll be focused on doing my job as president.
What?
That means I'll continue to lower costs for hardworking families, grow our economy. I'll keep defending our personal freedoms and our civil rights, from the right to vote to the right to choose. I'll keep calling out hate and extremism. Make it clear there is no place in America for political violence or any violence ever, period. I'm going to keep speaking out to protect our kids from gun violence, our planet from climate crisis that is the existential threat. And I will keep fighting for my cancer moonshot so we can end cancer as we know it, because we can do it. And I'm going to call for Supreme Court reform because this is critical to our democracy, Supreme Court reform. You know, I will keep working to ensure America remains strong and secure and the leader of the free world. I'm the first president in this century to report to the American people that the United States is not at war anywhere in the world. We'll keep rallying a coalition of proud nations to stop Putin from taking over Ukraine and doing more damage. We'll keep NATO stronger, and I'll make it more powerful and more united than any time in all of our history. I'll keep doing the same for our allies in the Pacific. You know, when I came to office, the conventional wisdom was that China would inevitably surpass the United States. That's not the case anymore. And I'm going to keep working to end the war in Gaza, bring home all the hostages, and bring peace and security to the Middle East and end this war. We're also working around the clock to bring home Americans being unjustly detained all around the world. You know, we've come so far since my inauguration. On that day, I told you, as I stood in that winter, we stood in a winter of peril and a winter of possibilities. Peril and possibilities. We were in the grip of the worst pandemic in the century. The worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. The worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. But we came together as Americans, and we got through it. We emerged stronger, more prosperous, and more secure. Today we have the strongest economy in the world, creating nearly 16 million new jobs, a record. Wages are up. Inflation continues to come down. The racial wealth gap is the lowest it's been in 20 years. We're literally rebuilding our entire nation, urban, suburban, rural, and tribal communities. Manufacturing has come back to America. We're leading the world again in chips and science and innovation. We finally beat Big Pharma after all these years to lower the cost of prescription drugs for seniors. And I'm going to keep fighting to make sure we lower the cost for everyone, not just seniors. More people have health care today in America than ever before. And I signed one of the most significant laws helping millions of veterans and their families who are exposed to toxic materials. You know, most significant climate law ever in the history of the world. The first major gun safety law in 30 years. And today, the violent crime rate is at a 50-year low. We're also securing our border.
Rough. Everyone's tuned out already.
Border crossings are lower today than when the previous administration left office. I've kept my commitment to appoint the first black woman to the Supreme Court of the United States of America. I also kept my commitment to have an administration that looks like America, and be a president for all Americans. That's what I've done. I ran for president 4 years ago because I believed and still do that the soul of America was at stake. The very nature of who we are was at stake. And that's still the case. America's an idea. An idea stronger than any army, bigger than any ocean, more powerful than any dictator or tyrant. It's the most powerful idea in the history of the world. That idea is that we hold these truths to be self-evident.
Don't.
We're all created equal.
Don't.
Endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights.
Don't.
Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. We've never fully lived up to it, to this sacred idea, but we've never walked away from it either. And I do not believe the American people will walk away from it now. In just a few months, the American people will choose the course of America's future. I made my choice. I've made my views known. I would like to thank our great Vice President Kamala Harris. She's experienced, she's tough, she's capable. She's been an incredible partner to me and a leader for our country. Now the choice is up to you, the American people. When you make that choice, remember the words of Benjamin Franklin hanging on my wall here in the Oval Office, alongside the busts of Dr. King and Rosa Parks and Cesar Chavez. When Ben Franklin was asked, as he emerged from the convention going on, whether the founders have given America a monarchy or republic, Franklin's response was,
come on, Joe. Pick it up, man. Pick up the energy. It's your final one. Let's go.
Republic, if you can keep it. Whether we keep our republic is now in your hands. My fellow Americans, it's been the privilege of my life to serve this nation for over 50 years. Nowhere else on earth could a kid with a stutter from modest beginnings in Scranton, Pennsylvania,
or a man with dementia could ever be a president. What a country, huh?
Desk in the Oval Office as President of the United States. But here I am. That's what's so special about America. We're a nation of promise and possibilities.
Democrats are so happy that they're done with this guy right now.
Of ordinary Americans doing extraordinary things. I've given my heart and my soul to our nation, like so many others. I've been blessed a million times in return with the love and support of the American people. I hope you have some idea how grateful I am to all of you. The great thing about America,
thanks for that,
is
Kat.
Here, kings and dictators do not rule. The people do. History is in your hands. The power is in your hands. The idea of America lies in your hands. We just have to keep faith, keep the faith, and remember who we are. We're the United States of America.
Yeah, we know, Joe.
We're
Thanks.
Simply nothing
Yes,
beyond our
okay, you're
capacity
done.
when we do it together.
13 minutes.
So let's act together.
Bye, Joe.
Preserve our democracy.
Bye.
God bless you all. May God protect our troops.
Bye. Bye, Joe. That's it. You got us all together for that stupid little speech. Get out of here, Joe. Get lost. 10 minutes. 13 minutes is the total on that. Pathetic. So the cowardly president is being as cowardly as ever, just comes out, we did great. You don't get to quit in the middle of the game, you loser. You agreed to do 2 full debates, and then you just whined out of it, just cried away because you're losing. Pathetic. So the Democratic Party is filled with cowards and cheaters and liars. Obviously, they've lied to us about Joe Biden's capability and competency. Then they fraudulently induced Trump to engage in debates and then change their candidate in the middle of the 5th round. Lunatics. So, yep. All right. That's it. We knew it was going to be a joke, and we were proven right. So thanks for joining us, my friends. Glad we got to go through some of that together. Let's see what you say about it. This one came in. Yeah, you nailed it. Nitty Linny was exactly right. Here's one from Home Skillet. It says, have you explored any acoustic analysis? Any thoughts? Yeah, we played some clips on it, and I don't have a good conclusion on it. I mean, I think if there's 8 shell casings up there, the evidence probably shows that it was him who made those shots. And again, I don't know if his first 3 were in a different direction, or he was standing up or mobile, or the audio recording shifted. But it did sound like, my initial take on it was it sounded like two different gunshots. But that second batch of 5 may have sounded differently because they were in rapid succession or in a different location. But I could see those also being his shots, that second batch of 5. It's my take on it. The thing I don't like about the second shooter, and I don't mean counter sniper. If there's multiple counter snipers who took other shots and missed, that's also important, but not as critical. But if there were 2 shooters, I don't know how they missed Trump. It was a miracle that 1 person missed. So if there were 2, I'd be like, what on earth? One old guy's opinions says 1993 movie Dave moment, the Dave moment from Joe. Was that the one on the moon? I don't remember that. This one from Nitty Lenny. See, I was right. America. That was rough, man. He's on the verge of death. The Democrats are thrilled that they're done with this dude. They're like, gosh, they're all doing cartwheels right now. We are so lucky we nuked this dude out of here. Oh my gosh. Stephen M says, details never add up. They never do. Questions are always better than answers. Yeah, good questions can lead you to the right answers. It's when you stop asking questions that you get terrible answers because nobody's doing any critical thinking. They're just accepting whatever the last moron told them is the truth. Tony Hay says, I love you, Robert. I am most mad at our elected Republicans. Why can't they just do the job? I don't know. I know it's frustrating. I love Trump, but it's sad that we can only rely on him. It's kind of scary. It is scary. And look what they've done to try to stop him too. Criminal prosecutions, civil lawsuits, trying to steal his revenue, raiding his house, trying to have him killed, all the things. From one old guy's opinion says, SCOTUS reform because they were able to stop the lawfare. Yeah, they didn't get the Supreme Court to do exactly their bidding, and so they're mad about it. Kyle Bowden says Biden is Star Trek's TOS's Patterns of Force. TOS's, Star Trek TOS. Which one is that? Patterns of Force. I know TNG, The Next Generation, and Deep Space Nine, but what's TOS? Patterns of Force. Sounds like a good one. I like Star Trek. Hey, what's up? This one from Big Wiggle says, I want to see that visitor's log from the day that Biden sent that letter out. Yeah, they're like, here's your letter, Joe. Sign it or else Hunter gets it. This one came out from one old guy's opinion says, he didn't sell heart and soul, but he gave it to Satan. This one from MJ Powell says, do we have a courts update? We do, actually. We're going to probably maybe talk about that tomorrow. Got an appeal in the Tish James case, so we may come back on that one tomorrow. Maybe we'll do Tish James tomorrow. Today was a big one. Christopher Wray was testifying, so we stuck with the assassination stuff, as you can tell. And so that was it. That was the whole thing. 13 minutes. Pathetic. And thanks for hanging with us as we did that. Hey, Zach Nichols is over here on the locals. We have some locals comments that we'll wrap up with, and then we'll call it a day, my beautiful friends. This one came in from Zach Nichols. Says, Joe Biden was saying outside that the gallows were erected to hang Mike Pence. And then here was the actual gallows. Like, this is what they put up there. So, like, unless you're Jerry Nadler or Jay Bratt, who stand at 3'7", this is not a real problem for you because you can just kind of stand up. It's like a joke. It's a prop. No one's getting hung in there. This one came in from the Vale, talking to Mr. Christopher Wray, says, you sound like the lady who just resigned from the Secret Service. But did you ever look into Ray Epps really? Allowed him to plead guilty to a misdemeanor, no jail time at all, even though he was first through the gates on that west side. So get on with it. You are very inept, says the Vale. Stop wasting Congress and our money, taxpayer dollars, and the things. Hey, Bonnie says, in case anyone is interested, here's a breakdown from the Justice Department of the total number of J6 defendants. Oh, thank you, Bonnie, for sharing this. I haven't looked at this in quite a while. So here are the numbers now. 1,380 defendants charged with entering, 85. Yeah, it's not that many, so it's like still less than 2,000. I wish they would just give us the broad numbers. Every time I look at this, I have to like add them up. Can you just tell me what the total is? They don't want you to know the totals. The numbers are honestly like very small. Comparable to a big city. Take a look at how at big cities. There are tens of thousands of crimes charged every year in big cities. So another 1,300 that are mostly protest crimes. Look at this. 1,380 defendants have been charged with entering. They're trespass. It's a trespass crime. It's a joke. With a dangerous or deadly weapon. 166 defendants, but there's not a big, I think there was 1 or 2 firearms that were questionable, but otherwise there were like flagpoles and other objects. It really was much ado about nothing, quite honestly. There were some violent things that happened, but not anything like they claim. This one came out from Via's Never Silent. Said it's been 13 days since the event. Wray says hundreds and hundreds of highly trained FBI folks are investigating this. They have the most sophisticated investigative tools of all time, but they still don't have a timeline. He doesn't know what their policies and procedures are. No, he doesn't care about Secret Service. The world's top investigative entity is just a big blanket covering crime in plain sight. Says plausible deniability is ongoing. His answers about the Bidens and the declining health were eye-opening. Talking about the DEI hiring, he said more applicants than ever before, but there's a decline in personnel. Lied again. Why was Wray in the building on 9/11? Thought he was a lawyer with some big firm back then. Wow. From V is Never Silent. The Veil's asking about a big hole. Why was Crooks on the roof? Why did he have car bombs? Was this the same type of bomb that they planted on J6 that they never found? Great questions. Says, don't say Congress that we want those records. Just say we're going to get those records. Whether they will or should, you want the truth. Put some teeth into your wording instead of should or would. Actually get the records. It's Jake from Oxford says, Rob, who is this blonde woman behind Matt Gaetz? It's Jake from Oxford. He's Jake Sullivan, the National Security Advisor, worked for Biden. Who is the blonde woman behind Gaetz? I counted 4 times she tried to bite her lip to keep from laughing while his lordship Wray was speaking. Says this is uncalled for. Yeah, Jake Sullivan not happy that his BFF forever, Christopher Wray, got raked over the coals today. Hey, Zach Nichols says, stop in and place your bets. Will Joe Biden be on time or late to his 8 p.m. address? I think he was pretty much right on time. Like a minute late, I think. But pretty much right on time, wasn't he? Good to see you, Zach. The Veil is here. Says, yay, finally a petition for impeachment brought by Judicial Watch. Looks like a good one. And Donut Mind Me shared this link from Carrie Cassidy. Shooter analysis with John Carmen and Mike Sparks. Donut Mind Me shared that one. Sounds like a good one. There have been so many cool videos. It kind of makes me want to be like a gun tuber. I'm like, oh man, they're all recreating the headshot and stuff. It's like, that looks cool. Sadie says, this is beautiful. I know the Rubos will agree to, and shared that link over with Dan Scavino. It's Jake from Oxford says, Rob, why don't we just live stream a rally? Maybe do another live stream each day, like a breakfast live stream. Yeah. Hey, Rob, just strap a GoPro on and live stream your entire life. Let's start that tonight. Sounds good. All right. Well, let me get it. Where is it? Okay, here, let me put it on my head. Here it is. All right, let's get this going. Let me turn it on. All right, we'll get that stream going any minute. Thanks, Jake. Captain Jim says, hey, Rob, happy Wednesday. I have a history question. While I wouldn't put it past the letter agencies to have eliminated JFK, what would have been their motive? What did JFK do to maybe set them off? Well, I think there was a lot of different things people suspect. I think one of the big ones might have to do with, disbanding the CIA or challenging the Federal Reserve. I think there was an executive order that he was going to implement that would have created a parallel system to the Federal Reserve. So they took him out for that. Bunch of different reasons. I don't know that there's any uniform theory on it, but I think a bunch of different motivations. They say mob might have been involved, that Lyndon Johnson just wanted him dead. CIA wanted him dead. I think maybe he was upset about the Bay of Pigs stuff, or there was another operation that the CIA was going to do to fake an invasion from Cuba, and JFK may have been unhappy about that. So a lot of different theories, a lot of different theses for what that may have been. I guess my question would be, what do you think? What do you think it was? Hey, this one came in. We had a couple more coming in before we wrap it up. So we're locals. We'll just hit it right here. We won't come out and do a separate stream. We'll just say what's up to all the comments while we're here. And Captain Jim says, hey, Rob, happy Wednesday. Got that. Thanks, Captain Jim. Tobo says, wow, this is so prophetic and just inspirational here. says, Tobo, what can be unburdened by what has been. What has been is a republic defined by a constitution. Well, not under Kamala, baby. Kamala wants to reform it all. Zach Nichols says, hey, everybody, the Titanic is such a long movie. The Biden administration says, hold my beer. 11 months ago, damn near to the date, this movie just keeps getting better. I never expected the assassination scene. That was one heck of a plot twist. What did I say? Robert from Scottsdale. Zach commented, he says, Rob, this script is going to make a great and funny movie. Dems celebrate that Fani Willis botches the Trump indictment after accidentally leaking the charges. It's been a beautiful Tuesday, my friends. August 15th, 2023. This script is going to make a great and funny movie from Zach Nichols. It's been a wild 11 months. No doubt, Zach. Thanks for being here and joining us as we go through it all. Glocky's here. Says, breaking, Obama doesn't believe Kamala Harris can beat Trump, which is why he hasn't endorsed her, according to the New York Post. Lisa Lemon says, sleep well, Robert. Thanks for all you do. I'm going to get some good sleep today. I was up early, couldn't fall back asleep. Just figured, let's get up and do it. I got some exciting stuff cooking over here on our end. So it's kind of on my brain. I'm waking up like, oh gosh, got to do this and this and this and this and this and this. So it's been a lot of fun. But anyways, it's been great. Hey, what's up? Knox says, I will get some sleep tonight though. And we were out partying late with Mama Govea. What's up? Knox Bierman says, more than ever, thanks to abortion pills by mail, there is no threat to baby killing. From Knox. Well, yeah, they don't want you to ever interfere with that. It's like their sacred calf. Hardened Patriot says, where's Biden's wedding ring? Great question. Nobody really knows. Jill's probably tired of him, right? She's like, you're not running again? Well, I'm going somewhere else, obviously. I don't know who she's going to go hang out with. Maybe the new vice president. Maybe she's knocking on Kamala's doors. I don't know. Hey, we had some other donos, my friends. And thanks for sending these ones in from locals. We had Knox sharing this one, says, he's quitting because he's losing? That's pathetic. I have a trial on Monday. If I start to lose, maybe I'll just step down. Just stop. No, sorry, Judge. I don't like how this started. Can I start over? It's so cowardly and pathetic. Man, I used to hate those kids. You know, well, we're going to start over. Why? Because I'm beating the crap out of you right now? No. Knox is here. He's looking up to the light. Joe Biden. Like, Joe, just finish this speech, okay? Don't go yet. Just make it through the talk. Glocky says, that's not even the real Oval Office, okay? It's fake. They built for him. It's almost 8:30 in D.C. The light out the window hasn't changed at all. It's another interesting point. Then look at the light. Yeah, the light didn't change. Maybe it's backlit. Lady Ice says, I figured it out. They have a Neuralink chip in him, and someone else is just operating him. Zoji says, good to have this community, Rob. I feel hopeless. Well, don't feel hopeless, Zoji. I have a lot of hope, man. I think that what's been so interesting is that, well, Trump dodged a bullet. So there's something going on there, man. So, yeah. I don't know how you interpret that. I think there's kind of something divine at play here. I think we're on the right side of history, my man. So have hope. Thanks for being here. Patty B Photography says, we need to vote in Trump so that we can be unburdened by what has been, rather than having Kamala come in and by being burdened by what she will be, which is what this administration is. Former says Biden needs the batteries out of his Energizer Bunny so he wouldn't run down. That was a weird scene. Rob, did you check out my post on Missouri versus New York? Sorry if I missed the analysis. New York State has until tomorrow to file a brief. Oh, I think I did see that. Yeah. Yeah, maybe we'll do a court update tomorrow. That sounds good. Lady Ice says there were at least 9 shots fired. Only 4 hit people. Where did all the other bullets go? Good question. We'll have to see what the reports show to us. But yeah, we heard 9, 8, 3, 5, and 1 for sure. Some people say 10. Some people say 11. Some people say that maybe that's not the case, that the bullets just made other sounds as they hit things. That's what we saw in the spikes and the audio files. But my friends, thank you so much for sending in those amazing donos. MJ Powell gifted 10 more membos as we come to a close and wrap it up. And Aussie Kev says, Biden and Harris are the best that America has to offer. Well, from the Democrats, that's for sure. I mean, I don't know who else they have. Michelle Obama, Gretchen Whitmer, Elizabeth Warren. Buttigieg, no. Rough lineup over there. So my friends, that is going to be it for us on the day. We are coming back here tomorrow to get into it again, and we hope to see you here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it an amazing night, my friends. Sleep very well. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.